Yeah, hello and welcome to our final broadcast for the Hamburg Grand Prix. And we have a tiebreaker today. Always good fun, some rapid action. We already have moves and that is really quick, so get the moves on. And
Hello,
before we get
everyone.
into the game, I introduce Kamil Plichter from Poland. And we did a good job, 2 days for the classical games, and now we have fast-paced action here in the rapid, right? So let's see what happens. So Duda has white, yeah, in the first game,
Yes.
and we got an English opening. You already said yesterday that he goes c4 from time to time, and that is one of those cases, right?
Duda can play C4 a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I think he played English probably less than D4, but it's still in his opening weapons.
Yeah. So we'll see. Grishuk went with e5, and we'll see how he reacts now to knight f3. Yeah, e5 is attacked, and black certainly has some options there. Yeah, he can play something like rook e8, just cover the pawn, or even e4 sometimes can be considered in such a position. So this is an important choice now for black. Also, you have to think about if you ever want to take on c3 voluntarily. That's also
Yeah.
something to consider.
So we have some kind of a reverse Rossolimo Sicilian here, where white is a tempo up, but black just tries to tell us the story that this tempo is not that relevant if white doesn't fight directly for the center.
Yeah, it's the tempo that black is missing in a way would be rook e8. Like if it would be reversed colors, white would already have played rook e1, for example, and then would push e4, for example, or go c6. And here e5 is hanging, so black has to decide whether he wants to go rook e8 now and basically say, okay, that's fine with me anyway, or if he wants to do something entirely different. I really expect rook e8 to happen. So
Rook e8 or even bishop takes c3 is possible. I mean, it might be a little too early for this exchange, but if black is going to strive for some position which is double-edged and already mm, it would be easier to play for a win with such imbalance.
yeah, so black can definitely take on c3. It's often an eternal question, or it is the eternal question, how to recapture in such a situation. Both are certainly possible. I think white would probably be more inclined to take with the d pawn if he wouldn't have the knight on f3 already, so that e4 becomes more likely to be played. Here I would really expect white to take with the b pawn, and I think this kind of position has been played quite a bit. An important point here is that black has not played knight c6 yet. This is something that is very important. It gives black far more flexibility. We have seen positions like that where the knight is already there, and that really makes a difference. So we get an update. Rook e8 was played, and now white has to decide. He castled. Okay, so now let's see what black can do. He went e4. So the knight was attacked, and now you usually go to d4, but knight e1 is not a terrible idea either.
Isn't it this position where knight h4 is also possible? Let me check.
Maybe,
No, definitely not possible.
maybe.
But there are these positions in the English where you put the knight on
Mhm.
h4, then try to go to f5.
Yeah, yeah. After knight h4, what you don't have is any retreat square, any natural one, and f5 can be covered pretty quickly by black. So this is not one of those positions. Sometimes you can do that if you haven't castled, I think. But here probably knight d4, knight e1,
Yeah.
knight g5. Those moves come into considerations.
So e4 scores very well for black. It's 42% for white. In practical games, that means that from every 100 games that have been played, white scored 42 points, where usually when playing white you would expect to score around 55%. So
Right.
this indicates that white has some practical problems with this line. And young Christof played knight d4.
Yeah, knight c6. Yeah, and here white will play knight c2, I guess. This is a well-known variation actually with reversed colors. Yeah, just like white has an extra tempo on this kind of line. I expect knight c2 now. Yeah, black will take on c3, and after d takes, we see a fairly typical middle game where indeed I agree. White is a tempo up on a line of the Sicilian. but a tempo is pretty much irrelevant in such a position.
Yeah.
And therefore probably black is not unhappy here. One key idea for white in this position would be to play the knight to d5. That's a very normal way to play. Hope that black takes it and then our pawn structure would be corrected. We can also sometimes play the f-pawn, trying to play against e4. While black tries to slowly improve his position, a typical idea for black here would be to play d6 and later strive to trade off the bishop via bishop h3. This would be very normal play.
This is a usual way of playing when your opponent has a pair of bishops. You just try to exchange one of them, and then your opponent doesn't have this advantage of pair of bishops. Especially in such semi-open position like this, it can be dangerous. If white manages to play f3 under good circumstances, it can be very beneficial for white.
Yes, exactly. This is also why this knight tour to d5 can be good, because if black takes it and white recaptures, that would give more room for the white bishop. So I think we're heading there. Yeah? Black has taken on c3. You can think of b takes in this position, actually. This is something that would be interesting to see. I wonder how this compares to this situation with reverse colors. A tempo is certainly good for white here in comparison. The thing is, sometimes b takes is not so great in such a structure if black manages to open up quickly with c6 and d5. But that is not possible.
Then there's the typical ideas of taking with the queen h5, bishop h3, something like that.
Exactly. So here, this is definitely a possible way to play, and maybe a little bit more interesting than to go for d takes c3, which really looks a little bit. He went b takes. Yeah, that looks more interesting here. Yeah. Now, what do we expect? d5 or d6? What do you think?
Okay, I'm not a Rossolimo expert. I play Sicilian my whole life, but I just played the move order with 2 g6 to avoid Rossolimo because I just don't like to play against it.
Yeah.
But if I would, I think that d6 is a slightly more solid option, while d5 is a very responsible option, because black is playing for the activity, but if he fails to prove that this activity is worth something, then he undoubles white's pawns, and I think that long-term prospects are on white's side. But the next 3-4 moves would determine if the long-term prospects for white are more important than black's temporary activity.
This is an interesting case where you would think like opening the position would favor the bishop pair after d5, and it was played. I expected the move. I think it's stronger than d6 because you have to accelerate the play with black. Yeah, you have to make your knights jump around and try to, in particular, the idea that you mentioned earlier. Yeah, this and then queen to h5, intending bishop to h3. This is a good idea. Yeah, black. I think should use the fact that he's a little bit better mobilized, and a slower way of playing like d6, I think that can favor white in the long run, because white is able to undermine that center like f3 or d3 and open it in the long run when it is more in favor of white, when the bishops are already positioned well. And here d5, you're kind of trying to prove that you have immediate ideas to make your development count.
Yeah, just look at development in this position. So white has a very good bishop on g2, white safely castled, but if we look at the other pieces, so the rooks are not doing anything, the queen is not active yet, and the bishop on c1 is still in the idle mode, while the knight on c2 is not great either. On the other hand, black has a good rook on e8, good knights, placed in the best positions in the center, and next black wants just to activate the queen via d5, h5 and develop the bishop, followed by rook d8 with perfect harmony.
Yeah, so here white more or less has to take on d5. Yeah, I would be surprised if there is a different move. I'm a bit surprised that he's actually taking time. Maybe there is something else. No, he did take. So queen takes, of course, and now we have this queen h5 business, where black tries to trade off this. And exactly as you mentioned, Camille, the bishop on c1 is kind of a non-piece at the moment. and you have to use this time. As long as it's not active and strong, then you need to get your play in with black. So this is a very nice fight against the bishop pair, which is actually conducted with opening the position, which sounds a bit counterintuitive, but it is indeed the right way to play.
And I think one thing to clarify, black is not going to play for the kingside attack. At least I don't think so, that this attack can be successful. White can always play something like knight e3 and bring more pieces to the kingside. Black's idea is just to exchange these light squared bishops and play against the dark squared one.
Yeah, exactly. This is not playing for a mating attack. I mean, it can happen. Yeah, if everything works well, it can happen. But usually what you're trying to do is, if you imagine the bishop straighted, at the end of the day, white has to think about what to do with his pawns here, for example. Do you want to have them there all of the time? Probably not. And the problem is that playing the d-pawn will leave weaknesses behind. Black is quickly, if the bishop on c8 moves, you have rook 88, and then all your pieces are perfectly harmonious. Yeah? And this is what black wants to do. Centralize, put some pressure on the central files, and ask white, okay, how are you ever going to make any headway? So I think we should try to figure out how white should play this position. That is really not completely obvious to me.
Yeah, the two first options that come into my mind are d3 and f3. While f3 I don't think is a great idea, but it can be considered. But d3 seems more natural, I think, because we are opening up the bishop. I agree that it may run into some problems on the d file, but okay, we have to do something. We have to do some pawn break. We need to challenge the e4 pawn because it gives black just too much space.
So you guess a d3?
I think so, yeah. I would start with this one.
Yeah, and I guess queen h5, right, is going to be played. That looks like the right decision.
Maybe something like bishop f4 to win some tempo on the c7 pawn.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I wonder if this is something that white needs to react to. Yeah, probably. You can even play bishop h3 here. It looks pretty dangerous to take c7, to say.
Yeah, so maybe start with knight e3 to cover g4.
No, you can.
I mean bishop f4. No, bishop f4, bishop h3, and then knight e3.
Okay.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, I think in a position like that.
But then knight d5 might be annoying.
Yeah, I mean I can just take here and I think correctly claim that I'm already completely fine. Yeah, something like I can even take on d3, and I'm perfectly happy here. I wonder. I mean, this bishop is not really having all that many squares. Yeah. Maybe
you want to trap it.
Yeah, maybe you can do something like, I mean, g5, bishop c7. It doesn't. It only has d6, right? You have to check stuff like that if there's something immediate possible.
Yeah, I'm not claiming that what I suggested is any good. I just wanted to show some idea how can white develop this bishop, because I just don't see anything else.
Yeah, it looks a bit odd. It really looks a bit odd. Maybe we have to reconsider what's going to happen here. There should be something, probably more challenging, because I think if black manages to get the light squared bishop straighted, he has to be at least fine. I mean, maybe even more. Yeah. I think
so let's maybe try our favorite method of elimination. So we don't play e3 because then our light squares would be horrible.
Yeah.
We don't play h3 because then queen h5, and what are we doing with our lives? And we need to somehow develop the queen side. And bishop b2 bishop a3 doesn't make any sense. So it's either f3 or d3. I just don't think there is anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not quite apparent. Yeah, what it could be. Yeah, you can always play knight e3 first and then decide what to do.
But then queen h5, and I'm not sure if I really love this knight on e3.
Yeah, it's not quite clear where this knight belongs. Actually, I think it's quite significant to say that Jan Christof is already taking quite a lot of time here. He's down 7 minutes, almost 7 minutes to Grishok's 22. And this looks a bit. I'm a bit puzzled because it looks pretty normal. Yeah, it's a pretty normal line after 1c4.
Yeah, Jan Christof is a great player, but I'm not sure if I really trust his opening knowledge that much.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's switching around a lot. Yeah, he plays all kinds
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things, and maybe there are cases where yeah, the switching leads to in some lines not the absolute deepest knowledge. We had seen this yesterday with White, right? When he went this rook c1 a3 against Grishuk's Queen's Gambit declined, and White was definitely on the defensive there, and
Yeah.
I think he was happy to save this game and get to this tiebreak. I think in the tiebreak we don't really have a clear favorite. Both players are exceptionally good, I think, at rapid and blitz chess, even stronger than they are compared to their peers in classical. And Jan Christof has won a really great match in this online speed chess championships, yeah, from the chess.com is doing. It was very thrilling. So it's you could say that Grishuk is the favorite. Yeah, he's a 3-time world blitz champion, but I don't think this is so clear, really. It's a fairly open battle.
Yeah, I think the last time where Grishuk won the world blitz champion, Duda was like 2550 or 2600, something like this.
It's been a while. When did Grishuk win last? Was that in Berlin 2015?
Let me check.
I think that was when he won it. I could be wrong.
Let me see.
I think it was Berlin 2015.
Yes, you are right. Yes.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been to Berlin for the tournament, which was a bit of a shame because I wanted to play in that tournament. Yeah, it was in Berlin, and I thought that's a good opportunity to play the World Blitz. Yeah, and then I learned beforehand that they had a cap. You needed to have 2,450 rating, and that I had 2,441 or something. And so I was lacking 10 points. So it didn't work out. And then I traveled to Berlin, and then I watched the tournament. I just went there as a spectator, and then I saw all those people sitting there with 2,300. Yeah, that somehow still led in the tournament. Yeah, and I was like, why did you do that? I could have played. Yeah. So that was a bit of a shame because I mean, I guess you also would love to play the World Blitz at some point, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a cool thing. I considered to go to Tallinn this year, where the European Championships is in Blitz, but it doesn't quite work out. I think
in the European, I played a lot of times because they were held in Warsaw for like 5 or 6 consecutive years.
Yes.
Do you have any update?
No, I just have this position. Nothing happens, and
because I just look at the camera from the main hall, and the queen is already on h5.
Yeah, so there's probably some kind of problem. I mean,
let me just try to get how this position happened. Let me try to do it on my phone. Yeah, so all of the apps or websites have queen d5 as the last move, but the main camera has some different position. Let me see what it is. The knight is on e3 and the queen is on h5 and white is thinking. So knight e3, queen h5 was played, I guess.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Knight e3?
Knight e3, yes.
Yeah, knight e3, queen h5.
But I'm just not sure because there is also a pawn on f3. And so pawn on f3, and now black made some mysterious move which I don't see because it's so small that...
Yeah, I don't get an update, unfortunately. Does the Chess24 webpage has an update? They probably should not have, because I'm on the same live PGN file, I guess.
Okay. There's knight on e5, so f3, knight e5. I'm not sure in which move order has this been played, but I think it's this move order. So pawn on f3 and knight to e5.
Knight
this
e5,
this is the position, yeah.
I mean, this f3 move makes some sense. Yeah, you still think about, wouldn't bishop h4, h3 still a good move?
I don't know, but now you have to be worried about g4 more, I guess.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
I think bishop h3 actually loses after g4. Because not knight f5 is next.
Exactly, you have this.
The bishop has no squares.
This is a nice one. Yeah, let's check this. And all of a sudden, you have trapped yourself. Yeah, that's not a good idea. So this f3 move actually prevents bishop h3, which is pretty. This is a good one. Yeah, it's a good play. And knight e5. centralizes the knight and is now ready to jump to g4 if white should move the f-pawn, which will probably not happen. It's a bit odd there that we don't get an update here.
Okay, nobody gets an update. It's just I saw it on the other channel.
Yeah.
Jan Krzysztof has 13 minutes and Alexander has 20 minutes in this position. And I can see that Duda grabbed the pawn on e4. He's just not afraid. He just doesn't care.
He took on e4?
Yes?
Okay, so let's have a look at this. Yeah.
So I will be your eyes. I will check if anything happens in the game because I have the camera view.
That's good. Yeah, I don't see anything. I just have the same position as. Oops, that was not intended. I'm sorry for that. Yeah, got back to normal. So yeah, what is black going to do now? Is bishop h3 a possible move, or is there some drawback?
Black definitely has to do something because he has like 5 active pieces in the center and on the king side. And if he doesn't succeed in creating any dangerous attack, then white will just play d3, put the knight on f5, and he will be completely fine in this position. So I think that knight f5 is some kind of a positional threat to shut down the bishop and play d3 next. Maybe the knight can go to d4 and f3 later. So I expect either knight g4 or bishop h3 here. I think bishop h3 is more concrete. Yeah, because it eliminates the defender of the king side.
Yeah, I think we probably have to check this, and I don't really see if there's anything else. Would be surprising if there's anything else. But now there are a couple of interesting ideas for sure. So white, for example, could think about. You can cover e4 with d3. I'm not sure that this is an immediate problem. Maybe knight g4 then is too strong. That's possible.
Yes, I guess this is a threat. Knight g4 take on g2 and give us some problems.
Yeah, yeah. I mean here you can think of a couple of things. I wonder. Let's have a look at d3 first because that's like the most normal, looking move. We should check how good knight g4 actually is. So yeah, which
knight f to g4.
Fg4, right? Okay. Yeah. So
the idea of knight fg4 is that in some cases I can consider something like rook e6 and also bring the rook into the attack.
Yeah, I think that if I take now, right, knight takes should probably fail to rook f5. So this is not going to work, right?
Okay.
And that is a general problem because if you cannot really play this line, what exactly can you play?
I attack with the bishop on g4.
That is maybe the right one. Now attacking e2, but then I wonder if I can just play like rook f2 and say
probably yes.
No, and say I'm solid enough.
Maybe rook d8 now. Rook a to d8, threatening to take on d3.
Yeah, exactly. There's a pin going on.
So this is exactly the type of play that black has to go for. I mean, maybe he doesn't have to sacrifice a pawn, but definitely he has to look for some such active operations.
Yeah, it's perfectly possible that such a position is fine. I just learned that there was a PGN issue, but we should have regular updates in short order.
Okay.
I hope so. I don't yet see it, but we should get an update.
What do you think about Alexander Grishchuk's approach? So he played this move knight e5, then Jan Krzysztof played the most concrete and the most obvious move, which just captures the pawn on e4. And now Alexander is thinking for like 5 minutes about his response. Do you think that this was some kind of a bluff? That he didn't believe that Duda is going to have courage to play this?
It's possible. Maybe he's also seeing an issue with something that he wanted to play immediately, and then you sometimes have this. Yeah, you play a line and you know, okay, I'm going to follow up with that, and then when you're just about to play it, you recognize that there is some issue. Yeah, and maybe this is the case here, and now he's reconsidering, because you can definitely make the point that black has more than one move here. It's not just bishop h3. So is there something else really? If white
Knight
gets
from he played knight from e to g4.
okay, so he's going to do it in this way. Yeah, one possible variation here would be, let's say white takes it.
Yes, he took it.
Yeah, white took on g4. I still don't have a PGN update, but okay.
And he took with the bishop.
Yeah, this is what I want. This is also what I thought about, because now we are threatening on e2 as black, and we also threaten to take on e4. And if black gets the pawn back, it looks kind of okay.
I guess rook f4 has to be played, something like that.
Yeah, that looks like a reasonable move, but
because okay, let's say rook f. Oh, okay, g5 is not an option. I just hallucinating once again. But what is the worst case scenario if white even takes on f6 and plays d3 later? Is it that bad for white?
Yeah, in general, I think if you can take on f6 and kind of solidify the position, it's good, but you cannot do it.
Yeah, the problem here is that also the e pawn falls.
Yeah, it's just far too quick.
Queen c2 played.
Queen c2 played. I have to check which position. So
this position,
this one,
position.
and
this position. No, just make the moves. We were exactly in the position that we want.
Okay, so he bishop takes. This is
yes.
one.
Yes.
Okay, and here
Queen c2.
He went Queen c2. Okay, just a second. I got a message there, and it could be about. Sorry, Camille.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to read Skype messages when you're on a stream. It could be about the PGN files. I don't know. I'm sorry. I have to get you out of the picture for a moment and check if I can.
I forgive you.
If I can do something here. Wait, just a moment. Okay, just a moment there. I have to get. So now we are live.
Here we
again.
go. Here we go.
That was a necessary thing to do, and we are back now. So now we have this Queen c2, and this looked like a reasonable move. But let's check some lines now. If black takes e2,
let's say yeah, I guess rook f4.
Yeah, that looks right.
d4 next. If I manage to play d4 and e5, I'm more than happy.
Yeah.
Maybe some kind of idea like bishop d1 here, but what does it actually do?
Yeah, I wonder. You cannot really do.
But actually bishop d1 can be smart, because okay, the bishop will go from e2 anyway, and where do you put your queen? If you put it on b2, you kind of block your own bishop's possible development, and the queen is out of play.
That's true.
And queen d3 runs into rook d8 with a tempo. So maybe instead of rook f4, you have to go rook e1 maybe to cover d1.
Yeah, that is a more conservative way to do it. Yeah, like here, go rook e1. But then I wonder if you can do something more direct here. No, I mean bishop f3, for example. If
I think you can play d3.
Like here with white?
Yeah. d3, because taking looks dangerous. I don't want the queen to be on f3.
Yeah, but black is certainly fine here, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks like
I would be pretty happy with black. I have a completely, a position completely free of any weaknesses, and I can easily centralize. Rook a8, b65, something like that is completely fine.
Yeah, white has two pawn islands, but he has a bishop in a kind of an open position, so it would be rather balanced, I think.
Yeah, it's nothing like black is better or anything, but it looks pretty comfortable. So black is not playing at the moment, and we can speculate what he's thinking about. If there's anything else here, is white actually threatening something? Probably like bishop f3 to just keep the pawn.
I think, yeah, just bishop f3, yeah.
No, that would keep the pawn for the moment. I just wonder what black is thinking about, because bishop e2 looks completely like a completely obvious move, but
maybe he's calculating something like bishop h3, bishop f3, queen c5, and then maybe queen e7. But
something like this. Yeah, possible. That's possible. Like you're this one?
Maybe, yeah. d4 and queen e7.
Yeah.
And there is hanging f1 hanging and e4 hanging.
Yes. I still think that he will probably just take it. It looks like the most obvious move. I mean, one thing that you always have to consider in such a position, I don't think it works, but is the exchange sacrifice. You always have to think about that. This could be interesting, in fact, if white would have some sort of activity with his bishop, yeah, and he would need like 2 or 3 tempi to justify such a sacrifice. Here it doesn't work at all, I think.
Yeah, white is just too slow.
It's just too slow. So that cannot work. He took on e2 now, so we just have to wonder where the rook is going. And he went to f5. That's a square we had not yet looked at. But once you spot it, it makes quite some sense, because the queen now has to move, and wherever it moves, we will probably gain additional time on it. And we have prevented any switches on the 5th rank by the queen.
Is bishop d1 an option?
Wow.
Okay, taking on h5 seems like out of the question, because then bishop c2 with pressure on e4.
He actually played it already. Bishop d1 was played. Okay.
Wow.
So we can put this on the board. I thought that was one of those "it's not going to happen" things, but it happened. So
no, but it's a perfectly logical move, because after queen d3 I can play queen e2 here, I guess, and
yes.
Bishop d3 next. So this is the big idea.
You gain tempi, yeah. And yeah. Also that can look juicy, yeah, if you put the queen somewhere off. I mean, white is still not really fully developed, yeah. It's a matter of 1 or 2 tempi.
It's like in the game yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tempo game. Queen to b1 was played. And now what? Queen is hanging, first of all. So the queen has to probably move. There's no intermediate move now. The most obvious one would be queen e2, the most active possible move. And that would actually attack e4 straight away. That looks...
this bishop on d1 doesn't look like a normal piece.
No, it looks really wrong. Yeah, so queen e2. I mean...
Yeah, but I really love this position. I like to look at games like this.
Yeah, it's very unusual, right? So here, what is black actually threatening?
Probably nothing.
Yeah,
maybe 94 only.
Taking probably. I mean, you expect the bishop to move somehow, right? I mean, to attack the bishop on d1. Yeah, I mean,
probably, yeah.
I don't really see a slow move here that you can play. So let's just check bishop a3, for example. Do we have something great here? The bishop on d1 is hanging. And not sure if you really have a fantastically good square to go to.
I think there's only one. Just bishop a4.
You probably have to go to a4. And there's no... I don't see any miracle move. Yeah, sometimes...
Unless there is something like queen a6. But maybe this one.
I mean, this has the point of going here, maybe, yeah? And simply put this on a good square and ask what's happening here. Yeah, d2 is hanging, e4 is hanging. No, maybe this is a fairly simple solution to this position.
Maybe e5 here.
Yeah, but I wonder if you can really play in this fashion. Knight g4.
Because my idea is if you move the knight, I can play queen e4.
Yeah, that could make some sense. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All of the pieces are just hanging in this position, which makes it even more fascinating.
It is quite wacky. However, in this position, it's easy to miss something here, of course. Let me check. I was thinking, is bishop d7 maybe a thing here?
Maybe I can take? Then rook is defended. But I take on f6.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, this is probably working. I don't have a good... Sorry, I don't have a good continuation here. So we are thinking queen e2, and that was played. So we can get this update, and now white to move. So we considered bishop a3.
What about bishop f1 here? What is the move? Because my idea, okay, queen takes e4 is possible. I didn't see it.
Yeah, you can take here.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's an important line. Otherwise, bishop f1 would be pretty strong. Yeah, I'm not sure about this bishop a3 move, if this is actually that great, because how exactly is the bishop on a3? Guys, I need to
I want to put this bishop on c5 and then to a3, e3 or d4, I mean.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one point. Due to the fast-paced time control here, of course, it's a bit difficult for us to monitor the chat. So if you have questions, please don't be angry if we don't see them. It can just happen that we are trying to figure out something, at least here with this little time that we have, and then we are not able to catch every single question or remark. So just want to apologize in advance if we don't answer. It's not meant in an unfriendly way. We just cannot really follow everything at the same time. So what to do here? We were thinking bishop a3, and we couldn't quite put a finger on why this wouldn't be a move. So that was the line that we had, and then the idea was to play e5 eventually. In my mind, white's position looks extremely loose, but I don't see how to make use of it. So after knight g4 here, your idea was to play queen e4, right?
Yeah, let's check it, because I think it's interesting.
Yeah, the point is now that the queen is double attacking those two and the queen, so probably black has to trade. I would be surprised if there's something else is possible. There's no trickery, right? You have to take.
I don't think so, yeah.
And here the question is, can black simply take on e5, and how to evaluate this position?
Knight e5, bishop b7. The only evaluation that comes into my mind is that it's unclear.
Yeah,
very unclear.
But you know, nowadays unclear cannot be used anymore. Yeah, that's one of those things that doesn't happen anymore. In particular in chess books, if somebody writes unclear, it's like, you were too lazy to switch on the computer. Yeah, I mean, okay, we don't have a computer, so I think we're allowed to sometimes say that it's not quite clear to us. Still, maybe we can check this here, if there's something better. I'm wondering about this. Yeah.
The only reasonable option is to play g6 first, but then just rook f4. And bishop b7 is even stronger because the bishop on a4 can hang.
Like, strategically speaking, if white gets d4 in just like that, his position is great. Yeah, so black has to go for this kind of direct way. Okay, we had a different move in the game, so rook f2 was the answer here. Yeah, okay, just asking the queen. Now we can point out something that we don't expect to happen. Queen e1 check. Rook f1, queen e2, rook f2. Something like that could be a draw. But I don't think that this is going to happen, because there are definitely other options. So what can black do?
I have bad feelings about this, that this is going to happen. Because what is the other point of rook f2?
Yeah, what can black do? Can black do something else here?
He played? Okay, he played or not? No,
not
didn't.
yet. Rook f2 was the last move that we got. And
okay, queen e1 is the obvious one. And then rook f1, queen e2, rook f2. If white wants a draw and black wants a draw, this is the way. But the only sensible option seems to be queen a6, because there's nothing else.
Yeah, probably not, yeah. There's relatively little point in queen c4, or does that have a problem?
Queen c4 may run into d3, queen takes c3, and bishop d2 or bishop b2, and the bishop on d1 is dead.
That looks like it, yeah. Probably queen a6, and I don't know if you want to play that.
Probably not, because you're just take the queen out of the action.
I mean, it looks bad, and you also kind of have to consider e5 all the time, yeah, with all of a sudden this is being opened up. That is also something that has to be considered. I'm not sure if it works straight away, but yeah. White is also probably just better after a move like d4. I mean, how exactly is this going to be played out? Yeah, this is covered now conveniently. Yeah, so this is bad. And in fact, in the game, Queen h5 was played.
Whoa.
Just went back. Yeah.
On which square the queen was before?
On e2.
Just on a...
Yeah, we had queen e2, queen h5. So rook f5 is a possibility now.
So this is now Jan Krzysztof's decision what to do.
Exactly. I can play.
Okay, the thing is that before the rook was on f1, if I'm not mistaken. Now it's on f2. Is it good or is it bad?
It maybe has some points. I mean, one thing is clear, that is now a threat, knight g4. With the rook on f2. So it's not so easy to play. You could consider a d4, yeah? Something like that, but that runs into...
Okay, what if I play bishop a3 instead of d4?
So I'm still... yeah, so knight g4.
I take the bishop.
Then you take d1, yeah? This is something to look at. So here, 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 here. And now what?
Yeah, I think you have to take on f2 and take on e4. So knight takes f2, I think, has to be played.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you can maybe take on e4, tactically speaking, but I don't know if it has a particular point. So let's say you take, king takes.
Rook e4 may run into queen f3. So I think this... And now rook e4.
Probably has no upside, yeah? So, and now rook takes e4.
But even if I go queen h1, am I that unhappy? Okay, queen h1, maybe I sacrifice too much pawns because rook a4 is played in the end. But queen f3 looks strong. Okay, there's rook e8.
Yeah, rook e8 I can still play. No, I cannot actually. Yeah, this is still continuing. Yeah, absolutely.
No,
right.
you can play rook e8, yeah.
Yeah, it's continuing.
That's the problem. Rook h1 fails to rook e2.
Yeah, so we can check this line. It's one of those things where you are sure that they're not going to happen in the game, but it's fun to look at. so looking at where we were, we are exactly here, and now rook f5 would be a repetition.
I would go h3 here, I guess. Maybe this just looks very slow and very kind of loose on the king side, but well, black has only one threat in this position. The bishop on d1 is misplaced. Why not play h3 and just stop the only threat?
Maybe. Yeah, the thing is that you're weakening dark squares a little bit, but that is not a problem, yeah? We have a dark squared bishop. If white manages like d4, bishop f4, he's in great shape, at least in good shape.
I just want to mention that something like queen g6 probably doesn't work, because if you play queen g6 here, I have the move d3, and if you take on g3, I have bishop f4, and the bishop on d1 once again is a bad piece that is going to be captured.
Yeah, the rook, the bishop on d1 is really an oddball piece. Yeah, it's completely. It looks like it was dropped there in a Backhouse game. It looks really odd. Yeah, it's a kind of thing that either can be extremely helpful or extremely painful. Yeah, so in the game, they already repeated. They repeated a couple of times, and then white indeed played h3. That's nice, right? So we can check this. We had rook e2. We had queen e2, and rook f2, queen back, and repeat, and now h3. So
okay, it's good that he repeated, because psychologically this is quite kind of important. That he's showing Alexander that he is the one who is going to give some terms about this position. So he is going to dictate the pace.
I always recommend that also to my students. If you have a better position and you have this opportunity to repeat twice, do it. Yeah, it shows the other guy who's the boss in the game. It's always a good psychological idea.
For several reasons, yeah.
Yeah, they also, maybe the defender is getting some hope. I'm getting a draw, and then no, you don't get a draw. And this is not a bad idea at all, and it has no downside. The other possible downside can be that you maybe miscount and repeat 3 times, which is super embarrassing. But or sometimes you have positions where there is the danger, if you repeat it twice, that it could pop up some moves later. If it's a completely shuffling position, there you also shouldn't do it, yeah, because you can be wrong, yeah. That those are the weirdest repetitions that happen, yeah, not like right after one another, but with a space of a couple of moves between them. This is often very tricky.
You have a slightly worse position. Your opponent is repeating it. You're like, oh, I'm not only going to have a draw. I'm just going to make it to cinema to my favorite Avengers series. But then not only you're not getting a draw, but you're just missing the movie.
Yeah, exactly. That can happen.
Yeah.
So now, what time-wise we are on 5 minutes each, yeah, which proves the point that they could have played a blitz game anyway, yeah. But this is kind of to be expected. Christof is really taking his time, and Duda had some problems to solve, I think. Yeah, it was a very concrete position and a bit unconventional, so it's very understandable that they spent the time. Now, what should Black do? I would really like to get some harmony into this position and get my bishop on d1 to some decent square. I don't quite see how this is possible. c6 would be reasonable, but
that would be the best square. But the problem is that bishop a4 may run into queen b7.
Yeah, it might be that the simple materialistic move queen b7 is an issue. I also don't see anything special here. I mean,
and my idea is not only to capture the pawn, but just to stop bishop c6, which is much more important. And then I'm going to take on c7 and bring the queen to f4 with a perfectly safe position, because my king always can go to h2 in case of some queen d1 ideas.
Yeah, we already have a move. So he played rook a d8 and kept the bishop there. Makes sense, because you couldn't really put it anywhere reasonable anyway. So rook a d8 is getting this piece into play. Now, taking on b7?
No, let's not go this way. I don't think so.
It looks very unhealthy.
Not in a rapid game.
Yeah, I think the normal move that you would expect would be d4, right?
d4 or d3, one of these two.
Yeah, so maybe d4. I think that looks like the most obvious trying to develop. That can easily turn out to be very good for white, yeah? I mean, Black, the next one or two moves, if there is something, Black has to find it now. Yeah, something slow doesn't cut it. So d4 can be played.
Do you think white is better here?
Yeah, I think so. But I'm also the guy who blunders pieces sometimes, yeah, so I just look at all the strategic pluses and say, okay, I've got everything here. I've got a pawn center, I've got the bishop pair. What I don't have is coordination. And if I get coordinated, I'm going to be a lot better even. So, yeah, d4 happened, yeah.
Okay.
That was the game played.
Kudos to Jan Christof for prolonging the game. He didn't take a draw. He thought that, okay, maybe a few moves ago my position was not that great, but now it changed, so why wouldn't I play for a win? He's the type of guy who just doesn't care. If he will think he's better, he doesn't care who you are. He will play on.
It's also just a case where, I mean, those guys, they play really, really strong. And if you get some chance, if you feel like you can do something, you have to take those chances. You cannot just make a draw if you feel, let's say, like here, yeah? If you go h3, you think, I could be better here, right? And this is a good opportunity that you actually got there, yeah? Sometimes you have those games that have like 20 moves of theory and then you go home. And here there is really something going on, and then you should really take this. So what does Black do now? I mean, the move that immediately comes to my mind is c5, trying to somehow get something going. I'm not sure that it does that much. However.
c5, I think bishop f4 is possible.
Yeah, I think you can develop with tempo. And this is the thing. Now you have to go bishop a4 probably.
I guess. Maybe even d5 here. To stop bishop c6 to claim some space.
I just wanted to mention, this could be easily an idea now. The bishop cannot return. And, I mean, in a perfect world, we manage c4, e5, and, well, that gets to the point where even we win with white against Christof, yeah? If we get there, yeah?
You play c4, e5, and you just take the queen to your hand to show your opponent that you're going to promote.
It's really, really terrible, so... Yeah. Let's go back. I wanted to mention one thing that is important today because there was there's a parallel event here, the Bente Blitz that Magnus is playing. But the Bente Blitz, unless you're going to play yourself or try to play yourself, is something that you can always watch later, yeah, in the replay on YouTube or Twitch. I think it's on Twitch and YouTube, not quite sure. In any case, you can easily watch it later while this is unfolding live, and it's kind of the only possible way to watch that while not knowing the result. And therefore, if I was in your shoes, I would stay here actually and watch this, because it's interesting chess and very, very, I mean, these players really play interesting games. It's not like you're falling asleep. And you can always watch Magnus later. Yeah. Okay, now bishop a4 was played, getting this somehow back in the game.
I would just go bishop f4 and press the clock here.
Yeah, then that is a typical decision for rapid or blitz game, right? Get the
And
final piece.
and the biggest point is that bishop c6 doesn't work due to d5 after I go bishop f4. So this is the biggest point, that you don't have this move. I'm going to take on c7 later.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't even, I mean, this is not just about like we win a pawn or something. White is just going to be very close to a complete dominance in this
Black is
position.
completely restricted here.
Yeah, that is.
If you go bishop d7, then my position is that great that I can even play g4 to stop any bishop h3 ideas.
Yeah, that's true. That's just terrible. I don't expect bishop c6 to happen. It would be odd. It would be odd.
So young Christof is thinking after bishop a4. How much time? 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
No,
And Alexander is on 2:30.
It's getting tough. It's really getting tough now with the time. To jump back to the actual game position now, White's most obvious move is this bishop f4. And I don't quite see there's anything particularly better here.
I just like it a lot. It just develops a piece, and I don't want to put my bishop on e3 because it may run into some knight d5 ideas.
Yeah, what we just now see is a very modern chess. He took on b7. He just said,
If he thinks it works, why not?
we said it before, I think you said it, taking the pawn is a relevant thing, not because of material count, but because c6 is kind of the only somewhat stable square for the bishop, and now this is gone. Still, we have to check now if there's anything concrete here. I don't see it. I would be surprised. I mean, the queen is even covering e4 from b7. I'm not sure that black has anything great here.
One idea that comes into my mind is queen a5, and the idea is that if you are going to defend the pawn on c3, I'm going to play rook b8, and it's oops probably. So bishop d2, rook b8, and this is a problem. So maybe this is the only decent option. I don't know.
That could be. That could be, but we definitely have.
But it's tough to believe.
Yeah, and white probably has something else.
Yeah, bishop f4. Okay, bishop f4, then it drops the pawn on c3.
Yeah.
So e5 I would go probably.
I was just about to suggest, because if you take here, you have bishop b2, so it doesn't really hang, and the knight, can go to d5.
Maybe it's not that bad for black actually.
Yeah, but okay, let's say knight d5. In this position, I go bishop b2.
Yeah, it's probably.
Am I blundering something? If I'm not, I'm fine. Very fine. Oh, I'm threatening c4. That looks pretty devastating.
Yeah, this is disgusting for black probably.
Yeah, that looks bad. Yeah, all in all, I would be very surprised. Queen f5 was played. If white wouldn't have a very substantial advantage here. So we thought e5, yeah, was a move.
Yes.
Yeah, that looks like a good option. Again, we should still point out, I don't think we put it on the board. I mean, the queen has no squares now. So white has to be circumspect. He cannot
And
just do
one
anything.
point behind e5 also, if you can show it to our dear viewers, that after rook b8 there's queen f3. So this is also the point.
Exactly. Yeah, we have a retreat square on the long diagonal, and here the knight cannot move due to f7 being under fire. Yeah, e5 played, so we get at least the odd move right. I think we didn't do all that badly, actually. e5, so let's see. Knight d5 played. And now we thought just bishop d2 would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, after bishop d2 there's only one move that may slightly concern me, which is rook e6 with the plan of going rook b6, but I think it's too slow. It's just c4, right?
Yeah, should work. Bishop d2 was played. Now that looks like a disaster. I mean, I would be very surprised if that isn't flat out winning. c4 is an awful threat. Queen b5, so not going down easily. But clearly admitting
this is a resignation, right?
Yeah, this is admitting like, okay, I'm terrible here in this position. I just want to avoid getting killed immediately. This is the only thing that this does. So what's good here? Rook b1 maybe?
Yeah, we don't stake, we play rook b1.
No, rook b1.
We won't have the rook on the 7th.
No, because it's hard to see that black is now avoiding the trade, right?
No, there's no way.
There's no way to avoid it. So we probably have this.
If he plays queen b5, he wants to trade.
Yeah, this is, again, this is hanging.
And if you move the pawn, there's c4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
c4, yeah.
Very good. That looks like your
Okay, he took.
Yeah. He took it. He took immediately. Okay, this is not terrible either, of course. It looks like what I'm looking for, the word here is a compatriot, a word, right? That's the word, yeah. Your compatriot is taking the lead, yeah.
Yes, there's champagne time, but maybe not now. Maybe later.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that that Poland has a young player. I mean, he's just 21, right?
Yes.
21, has such a young player already, and I think he's already not quite there rating-wise, but he's roughly top 10 level already.
12 or 13,
something like that. Yeah, just a matter of.
But with one game, he surpassed Kramnik, Anand, and Karyakin, all three of them.
Yeah, so I mean, he's really a contender for the highest possible titles, and this is great to have for sure. I mean, what happened? Okay, bishop g5 played. Bishop g5.
Oh, this might be very smart, actually.
So, attacking the rook. Looks like rook d7 is only move. And now he played rook c1, threatening c4.
I think the point might be that after bishop c4 you go bishop f1, and you can't take because of bishop b5. I mean, you can't take on a2 because the rook is protecting also.
What white can do here is simply play technical chess, no? Like bishop c4,
rook b2,
rook b2 is also, it came, that actually was played. So rook b2, take the half open file, and I mean, white just has to keep control and ideally break black's grip over c4 so that the pawns can go forward. But generally speaking, black is not able to do anything active here. So
the only thing that white has to watch out for is don't play bishop f1 too early, because if black manages to play knight b6, knight c4 under good circumstances, it might be a problem, because suddenly the dark squared bishop is a passive piece.
Absolutely, yeah. That is something that he has to look out for. There could be some material balances here, like the knight on c4. That could be awkward, but you have pretty good. You have time
A5.
to improve. a5 was played.
Okay, so black tries to do something. Just push the pawn up the board and hope for the best.
I think ultimately bishop f1 should be played. I think it's difficult to not do it. He played a4 first. That also looks kind of normal here. Even though after knight b6, currently that drops an exchange, but knight b6, it could be a liability, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but Christof played c5. Go for counterplay here. I think he's defending this quite well, actually. That looks still kind of valid.
Yeah, I think Jan Krzysztof should play rook b1 instead of taking on b5. Then not in this position, just before. I mean,
Exactly, that looked better, right? Maybe we overlooked something, but it looked better. So rook. Now we are in blitz mode, right? They
yes.
both only have a couple of seconds available, so we will be trying to follow the action. Rook b8, played, trade one rook. I mean, white is still significantly better, of course.
But it's not winning.
No, it's not.
Like it's much better, but it's not winning.
Bishop d3 was played.
I would like the plan of h4 and bishop h3 in this position.
Yeah, that looks like a way to activate, but I mean, black.
Funny picture with the rooks.
It looks funny, yeah. So they took here. King to h7.
Oh, just DC.
And you just grab this pawn, which is probably not so bad because the c pawn is
very really simple. D takes c5 is very simple.
Really dangerous. c6 is such a strong threat now, and okay, bishop c4 played. Now, wonder we can do something directly here. Doesn't the bishop e4, g6? That was played. Yeah, there's some knockouts.
Just c6, rook c7, rook b7, I guess.
Yeah, this is going to be winning, I guess.
And if rook takes on c6, then I have several good options. Probably the easiest one is to take on f7.
Yeah, this is a line that probably wins.
And king g8, rook d7, then I take on h5.
So yeah, we are there. Let's see if he plays rook b7 now, or if there is something something even stronger, even though it looks extremely strong. Okay, rook d8 is also a pretty good solution. Just attack d5, and if the knight moves, like knight e7, you go rook d7.
He should play knight b6, but I don't think it just leads anywhere, because White's idea is to, after knight b6, probably to play e6, bishop f4, bishop e5, and give mate on h8. This
is something that could be happening, yeah. But I think many things could win here. Also, bishop e3 could win.
Bishop e3, rook d7, yeah, it's a trivial.
He played e6. Yeah, your line is coming on the board. Bishop e6, bishop f4. It's just very strong. Bishop f4. The black rook is not exactly having many great options. Can go to c8, but then we play c7 and bishop b7 probably. Yeah, c7 happened. And yeah, Duda is taking the lead here. Everything else would be really amazing.
Okay, the last sign of desperate tries for counterplay is knight takes a4, bishop b7, knight b6. But then I think you can even play bishop e3 and
yeah, black took.
Yeah, so bishop b7 I expect to happen.
Yep.
Knight b6 probably, and bishop e3, and I think this is reasonable. Okay, rook c7 there is still. No, so I'm blundering now.
No, not so quick, yeah, but we are very close. What you can do is, black is threatening nothing, right? You can play bishop e5, that's fairly strong.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Yeah, threatening to take and mate then on h8. And that's probably going to do it. But it looks like there should be multiple solutions. Pretty strong also could be c4 here, actually. That's a good overloading move, threatening c5. But again, that's very much a matter of taste. So he played it a bit differently. He played h4, just calmly keeping the pawn, and after a4 took on c8.
Yeah, it's probably, if he takes with the bishop, there's bishop e3, so he has to take with the knight.
Yeah, but again, this is also not too bad, right? We have.
This is the other point of.
This is the other point of h4, and a pretty nice one. Yeah, and actually, Grishok has resigned already. So, the last move, final move of this game was bishop takes c8. Very interesting game, right? They're not disappointing us here at all. Interesting, really interesting, and not so easy to pinpoint where black was getting downhill. Yeah, if we are
Yeah,
going.
this maybe the sacrifice on e4 was already kind of dubious.
The
I don't know.
sacrifice.
The move number 13, I mean, that black gave up the pawn on
That
e4.
is possible. That is definitely possible. I mean, here there are certainly a couple of options for both sides, but I think this, if we just, I mean, sometimes you can find out where the problem was if you can go back from the end and see, okay, what is the position where we think it got dubious, and here we already thought it would be a little bit dubious, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because white is ultimately probably managing this, d4, bishop f4, and so on.
And we didn't see a clear way for black to continue.
Yeah, the bishop on d1 looks a little bit offside, and he couldn't manage to get this coordinated. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely not. So, yeah, this puts young Christof Duda in a really good position. Yeah, winning the first game of a two-game match is pretty strong, of course. And yeah, so is there a fixed schedule, like they play in a couple of minutes after the game, or is there a fixed starting time?
No, I think there's a fixed starting time.
So we probably have some kind of break, because it will take.
Yeah, let's do a quick break, and if it's going to start, then we are going to be back.
When do they continue? Did you see anything about the
I
scheduling?
try to find it, but I don't.
They play at 10:30, so in 10:30. Okay, probably your time. That means in 23 minutes. That's a lot. That's actually.
Yeah, so let's go for a break.
Yeah, let's do a quick break, and not for 20 minutes, right? Just a quick one. I also have to check one or two messages that I got that could be in connection with the PGN relay. So we have to get this also sorted out. So we'll be back shortly, guys. Stay on.
Yeah.
Till then, bye.
Bye. Okay.
All right, so the sound is back on, and now the picture is also back on. So I hope you didn't hear our chatter in the meantime. I tried to switch it off. We didn't say anything completely inappropriate, I think.
At least this is what we should say.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if people didn't hear it, they can believe it. But if they did, now we are in trouble.
Yeah. So one thing before we go on, we have in 15 minutes the second game will happen with Christof getting white, and he's in a must-win. Yeah, there are just 2 packs of games, and he has to win with white. Yeah, not easy to do, but we'll see if he gets close to it.
Okay, tell us on the chat what opening do you expect to happen in the second game? Because if the first game was decisive, it completely can change the approach to the second one.
Yes.
Do you think that right now both guys are just sitting there with their coaches, with their seconds, and try to come up with some ideas, or just take a walk, have some fresh air? Alexander probably smoke some cigarette or 2 or 7.
I can actually, I have to interrupt you because I'm getting moves. So it seems that they are starting earlier.
Okay.
So we got the Queen's Indian again, the same opening that we had in the very first game, the game on Friday. And let's see, Bishop A6 probably going to happen again. That's almost exclusively played nowadays. Bishop B7, you don't see that often, but you never know. Bishop A6 played, and B3. Yeah, this is not a bad option certainly for white in a must-win, because usually you got many pieces on the board. You just have to make sure that you're not stumbling into some very drawish lines, which is sometimes possible here. You have to, I don't quite remember what the move order is. There are some very drawish lines, but okay, it's not going to happen. D5 already played, and it seems like we get exactly the same line.
You know, young Christof is this kind of player that can voluntarily go into slightly worse position in the situation where his opponent must win.
Yeah, if you feel it is solid, why not? Yeah, why not?
He did the same thing against the Nepomniachtchi in the first round of this tournament with black. He played the accelerated dragon. He got slightly unpleasant endgame, but he managed to hold it.
Yeah, it is also a quality. Yeah? If you're just sometimes deliberately can say, okay, I know I'm going to be a little bit worse, but I'm not going to lose this. I'm going to hold it. I think it all depends on if there are some good ideas that you have already before you enter it. Yeah, if you just go into a slightly worse position and then trying to figure it out over the board, it can be very tricky.
Yeah.
So here, I think c takes d5 was what we had in the game. Okay, now knight e5. So a different approach. Yeah, in this particular line, you can see why this bishop b4, bishop d2 intermezzo sometimes makes sense. The bishop really looks wrong on d2. Yeah, white would pretty much prefer to have the bishop on b2 to cover d4, for example. Yeah, now it's interesting to see bishop b7 comes into consideration, or maybe even c5 playing more actively. These are the two moves that should be considered. Knight bd7 is too early. Yeah, this is important not to blunder. So bishop b7 or c5.
And one last thing, knight fd7 runs into c takes d5 probably.
Yeah, that could be wrongly timed. Yeah, quite often knight fd7 is an idea after c6 is played.
Yeah,
but here,
yes,
you probably go here. I mean, black can take on e5
and de probably. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I
wonder. This is actually kind of tricky. Yeah, it's kind of tricky. D4 is hanging
if
there.
you take on d4, I take on a8 probably. Then if you take on a1, I have bishop c3.
Yeah, nobody knows what's going on here. Yeah, queen a2. We should make a body count. Yeah, like, it looks.
White is okay. It's equal.
It's equal. Yeah, that
equal.
Sometimes
Bishop
happens.
takes
Even in
d5
the stupidest of variation, you manage to get an equal position.
But there is bishop e2 in the end.
Yes, that is hanging. Let's go back. I don't think this is happening.
Yeah,
anyway.
of course not.
So c6 is happening. You know, back in the day when the Internet Chess Club was still a thing, nowadays I think nothing much happened there. But I often did commentary with some partners, and I never had the privilege to do a commentary together with Larry Christiansen, the American Grandmaster. And but watching Larry was always so much fun because he managed to find the wackiest tactics in the dullest positions. Yeah, if you watched his broadcast, you were thinking, okay, nothing's going to happen, and then he says, "I have an idea, guys," and then he showed some completely crazy line, and his final sentence was always, you know, it's not going to happen. It never happened, really, but it was always fun. So,
but it was very good for viewers because it was more interesting to watch.
It is very entertaining. So we had knight fd7, trying to get some declaration from the knight. Do you want to trade? White has more space, so he went to d3. Does not want to trade.
This sacrifices a pawn.
Yeah, c4 looks like it's blundered. So we have to check this. So d takes, and now what exactly?
There are two options, I think. Either you take or play knight b4.
Knight b4 looks odd, but it could be a move. Yeah, it could be a move. I mean, if we first check the recapture, right? Bishop takes. Do we have something particularly great here? Something completely convincing?
I like knight b4 more. Maybe it can look odd, but it should pose some problems. Here, I don't think so.
I mean, this is going to be some compensation, but it's not something that would completely, I wouldn't be super happy, yeah? So this is a move to check for sure, because I think it more or less forces black to take, right?
If I get the light squared bishop, I'm super happy.
Yeah, probably this. And this looks definitely like compensation. I mean,
yeah, this is definitely compensation now on dark squares. So
yeah.
I would go probably knight d2 here, and force black to capture on b3.
That's one idea. Or you can also consider this, because bishop d5 e4 is giving away a full bishop, and if you go back somewhere here, you also have knight e4 all of a sudden, and that is the moment where you regret grabbing anything. Probably. Yeah.
But the similar thing can happen after knight d2, I think.
Like here, you mean?
Here knight d2, because if you take, I take with the a pawn, and the knight is going to land on d6 anyway.
Yeah, so you mean like here, and then I take with the a pawn?
A pawn, yes.
Yeah, it's probably not possible to prevent this here.
And this is exactly a type of position that Alexander Grishchuk should go for.
Yeah, he would be very happy there.
For these viewers who just joined us, I just want to say that Jan Krzysztof Duda won the first game, so Alexander Grishchuk is in a must-win situation. So if he has any way of creating complications or positions with attack or compensation, he should go for it.
No, this is the game, actually. So we're getting there. Yeah, knight b4 was indeed played. Now, you can think about this a little bit. Is there any other way for black to play this? What I think does not come into consideration is something passive. You cannot just go back, let's say, because after b takes, white is very happy. So black has to do something very concrete, and we are threatening with white to take on a6, which is pretty awful. So he has to do something. He has to take it, I think.
Is the position after bishop b7 taking on c4, let's say queen c8, that bad for black? I want to play c5 next, then knight c6.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks slightly worse, but is it that horrible? White still has some problems on the queen side. The knight on b4 suddenly is not great. The bishop on c3 also. The knight is not developed. Maybe it's not that big of a deal.
The question is a little bit if you have to move the knight probably on b4, like prophylactic retreat. I'm not completely certain where. Maybe to c2, because if you imagine black playing c5 in such a position, I'm going to go d5.
Yeah, of course.
And my idea is to just play e4, knight d2, knight e3, and like slowly shift everything to the king side and go for mate. This is often just working. This is a textbook Catalan position that is bad for black, really.
Yeah.
I mean, in particular, considering that his pieces look all over the place. So he has taken on b3. I think you have to take something, yeah, to be compensated for your somewhat odd position. And okay, this is a living proof that the Queen's Indian is not always a boring opening. Sometimes people consider it as somewhat boring, but yeah, if both sides are up for it, you can make something interesting happen. And okay, so here knight a6 was played. Is there any point here of playing something crazy like b2? That's probably...
I think it only helps white. Because it gives the c3 square for the knight.
Yeah. So...
But it blocks the a file. It doesn't open the a file, so maybe this has some point.
Yeah, but okay, they already played this. Knight takes. Bishop takes c6 played.
Whoa.
So, yeah, he just wants to get it back and say, I'm good anyway. Yeah, if you think about, let's say, wait, rook c8, you can even play bishop b7.
Yes, that's the point.
Yeah, I'm happy with too little. Yeah, I mean, it's pointless because bishop b7 is so strong, but white would also be in really great shape after retreating. I mean, the position is terrible. But bishop b7 is, of course, much stronger. So, yeah, what is he going to play? I mean, if you play rook b8, I mean, I just take on b3 and I'm really fine.
I am thinking about some smart ways of sacrificing the exchange.
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting there. I mean, what are you doing?
B takes a2.
So, taking, yeah.
My idea is to play knight b4 next.
So here, the simplest thing would be to just take, right, on a2. And
Knight
now,
b4, I say.
Yeah. So here, white already would be able to take, and the problem is that at the end of this,
queen a4, yeah.
And that is too much.
Maybe I have queen d5 still, but it doesn't look very good.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, that looks like
because you can even take on a7.
Yeah, it looks wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So we currently don't really spot a playable move, which is a bit of a shame. You don't have a playable move after 14 moves. It's odd.
Does that mean that black is already in trouble? Okay, what is the worst case scenario? I go b2. You take and I go rook b8. So this is like the worst case scenario, I guess.
He played the immediate rook b8. So rook b8. Yeah, wow. This is not... No, a takes is stronger, yeah?
With the expect a takes b3, always here.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, I mean, if it wasn't for b5, I think queen takes b3 also would be a large advantage. But a takes b4 makes a lot more sense, yeah, going to attack this immediately. Yeah, here knight b4, right? That's the only move. And, well, if I'm really not very imaginative, I can take, and I'm in really great shape.
Doesn't look good.
Right, looks very good for white.
Now, let's look for something else. Is it possible that this is already that bad for black after 15 minutes?
I think black's toast here. Why wouldn't he be? I mean, white has a fantastic bishop pair. The light squared bishop is amazing. What else is there? I mean, if a7 is just dropping, maybe no, that also doesn't work. No. I was like this, yeah, but you can take on d7. So absolutely, I don't see a way here. The knight is attacked; it has to move. There is no way to play in a tactical way. No, you have to play knight b4. I mean, this cannot be any better. Would be very surprising. Wow.
So why is Alexander thinking here? That's the idea.
That's a bit of a mystery, yeah?
What's the problem with a takes b3 here, that he's thinking so long? What do we miss?
How clear is this actually? So knight to f6, or is this still something that black can fight?
I can just go e3 and knight d2 next, because e3 is important to cover d4, I think.
Yeah. It's just a flat out pawn. I mean, just.
And it is an important central pawn. It's not like just like an a2 pawn. It's even more important that it's on d4.
Yeah, it covers all those important squares. And you have to see that black has a really hard time to fight against this rook. Yeah, the bishop is always going to be on the long diagonal, covering a8. Wow. So, interestingly enough, white is thinking.
Chat says it's plus 1.1 after a takes b3.
Yeah, I thought it would be more, but yeah, maybe this is fair, yeah, for this position, 1.1, but you never know. You're sometimes really shocked by the engines. I think in many positions, the human player would get the general evaluation right. Like white is clearly better. That's easy to see. Yeah, you can count pawns, but it's sometimes surprising. To see that engines sometimes give like +2, +2.5 or something, where you are sometimes shocked, like, is it so bad already? And then you see, okay, it is so bad already. Yeah. Still, it's amazing that he's taking so long, because a takes looks completely fine. And
what was the problem in the game? Where did he go wrong? Move number 12, c takes b3 was already bad, right?
Maybe, maybe, or actually d takes c4. I mean, that is not forced. You can play whatever. Whatever is a bit strong, but you can play something else. You don't have to grab. So we got an update. We got the position that we were analyzing. Exactly this one.
I look at the camera and Jan Christof doesn't look to be happy.
Yeah, you have to be a really weird kind of person to like this position with black.
Mm.
Yeah, that looks bad. So what do we expect? I think you already said e3. I would absolutely agree. e3 makes a lot of sense, and it was played, so that's kind of normal. And now you just have to get the knight into the game. That's the only thing that you have to do. And normal would be to get it to c4, e5, something like that is a way to do it. Yeah, that looks completely normal.
Okay, white's plan is crystal clear. Play knight d2, put the bishop on f3, king on g2, like develop the queen and connect the rooks.
You just have to get everything developed. The knight on b1 is the piece that's not doing anything, and then you're doing good. You can also maybe think about a development. Let me unpaint this. A development with knight a3, that can also be an idea, because you still can go here, but knight b5 might be something as well.
Knight f3 and knight a3 drops material due to bishop takes a3, rook takes a3, and queen d6. And you don't have queen c1 because of rook c8.
That's true. Yeah, it looks a bit odd, yeah, and the odd moves are often bad. Yeah, knight d2 is the normal way to develop. So, but what does black play here? Black would like to get rid of the rook, for sure, on a7, but I don't see how this is possible.
No suggestions, just don't know what to do here with black. I would probably go queen d6, rook c8, just to also develop everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know what to do, just try to improve your pieces. There's nothing else to be done here, I think.
I mean, black's way to get closer to a draw is fairly clear. He has to trade all the heavy pieces, But doing that is not so easy. In particular, if you look at the rook on a7, that can barely be touched. So, ugh. Queen d6, maybe. I don't really see another good square or different good square for the queen.
Maybe queen. Okay, yeah, queen d6 can have some problems after possible e4, e5 from white.
Yeah.
But what else to do? Okay, we can try b5. Maybe he'll run into queen b6, but don't think it's worth.
I have a suggestion actually. Let's try. What about rook c8? Let's say.
Bishop f3, I guess.
You go back and then rook c7. I just try to get rid of that rook on the 7th for first.
Rook a8 maybe, or I take.
Yeah, when you have rook c8, this is just going to lead.
That's the same. That's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, you can maybe go to a4 or something, but so let's say you take, and here I think black has gained a little something.
Yeah, this is tricky now because knight d2 runs into queen c3, I guess, something like that.
Yeah, the activity is going to be something that is still an issue. That's still an issue. Maybe a position like that was the reason why Christof took a bit of time when he took on b3. Like if he anticipated this opposite colored bishop scenario, yeah, and this is what black is playing. Rook c8 this is the strongest move. Rook c8, c7. You have to get rid of the best piece of the other guy. So pretty. Once you spot it, it's fairly clear that this should be played.
So this is a typical defensive resource. Just develop. You're a pawn down, but okay, you have two options: go and cry, or just try to improve everything. And this is what he has to do now. Step by step, try to improve the position. Try to find some active moves. Try to counter your opponent's ideas.
Yeah, and you definitely, what black wants to do, ideally, he wants to trade everything besides the bishops. Bishops are tough to trade, of course. And in a situation where just the bishops stay on the board, black's drawing chances have gone up exponentially. Yeah, of course. The pure opposite colored bishops could be pretty drawish. So black wants to get rooks off the board, queens off the board. This is the best thing that he can try. There is no way for any active counterplay. You just have to try to build up a resilient position and trade. So rook c8. White has to decide now where to go with the bishop. There's really, okay, maybe queen f3, but that looks wrong.
Queen e3 runs into some queen d6, I would guess.
Yeah, that's the first thing. And the other is that with the queen here, you can never move the knight, which looks completely ridiculous. So you want to move the bishop, probably. It's a matter of square, f3, g2. One of the two.
I would always pick f3 here.
It looks
especially in rapid time controls or blitz. Because bishop f3, king g2 is something that white usually does anyway.
We got the question what the score is. Yeah, that's always important to clarify. So here Christof with white is in a must-win situation. He has to win this game, or Duda is the winner of the Hamburg Grand Prix. White played bishop to g2. And now what? Rook c7. That was at least my idea, to get the active rook traded. It feels fairly normal to me. I mean, white can try to keep the rook, for the moment, like rook a6 could be a move. Maybe this is actually an idea. If you say that trades favor black, you could go rook a6.
Yeah, but you have to always watch out with moves such as rook a6, not to run into something like bishop a5 and...
Sure, it can be tricky.
Now you have rook a8 always, but I'm just showing the idea that you have to watch out for the rook not to be trapped.
So like here you don't have many squares, that could be fatal.
Yeah, and if you need to save this rook later with something like b4 that I'm very happy to take, retreat the bishop and my drawing chances increased because there are no b pawns on the queen side, the material is reduced. So it's easier.
Yeah, probably. It is probably wiser, if you want to retreat, to do it to a safer square, like this for example, or a2. and then next develop and see how it continues. Rook c7 looks like the move that should be played here. I know, those guys know chess. They play rook. He played rook e8, trying the same thing with rook e7. That is better. It's just better idea, because the rook on c8 is well placed. I mean, it's not as well placed as the rook on a7, but if you want to trade a7, better trade it with this rook on f8, which didn't do anything. And you know that white is probably not having a better move here than knight d2. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then you go rook e7, I guess. Yeah, nice. Yeah, this is still a lot of work. It's a lot of work to...
Yeah, white is much better, but it's not very easy to crack black's position.
No, absolutely not. It's still a tough defense. Time-wise, Grishuk is about 3 minutes ahead. That is certainly handy, but is that 25 plus 10? I think that's the time control, yeah?
Exactly, yes.
They get 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds, I mean, it doesn't sound like too much, maybe, to many people, but this is actually pretty nice time. 10 seconds, you have to consider they don't have to write down moves, they only have to play the move. And even if you are down, 10 seconds is plenty. So knight d2 was played, and now rook e7 is the move that we expect. That is the one that makes sense in connection with rook e8.
Okay, there's other idea of rook e8 to play e5.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not that stupid, because if I go e5 now, of course, taking doesn't seem like an option because the d2 is hanging, but now when I look at it, maybe you can take.
Yeah.
But then, okay, you reduce pawns, which is good for black. If you are defending such position, you should exchange as many pawns as possible, as a general rule.
Definitely, yeah, you want to trade. I just wonder, is d5 possible here?
Then I want to go e4.
Yeah, I was just thinking if there isn't something here. Don't quite see anything.
Suddenly my pieces are very well placed.
Yeah. Yeah, probably at the end of the day you're going to play something like knight f3 here and claim that this is good for white, which is probably true. And e4 is downright worse with this.
No, e4 we don't go. Yeah, we want to reduce pawns.
Yeah, sure, but this is really garbage for black.
Bishop c5 maybe.
Yeah, but meh. He played rook e7. He played rook e7. So rook e7, rook takes e7, bishop takes e7. That is the position. Yeah, that's going to be a long day is the wrong word. It is a rapid game, so it's not going to take hours. But this is the nightmare position in a classical game. And when you know that you're going to sit there now for the next 3 hours and suffer, being a pawn down and with no counterplay at all.
These guys are professionals. They probably don't care about stuff like that. I will have to sit and suffer. Okay, yeah. This is the position I get. I have to play it, so be it.
Yeah, of course. This is also, I think, something that is often a characteristic of a stronger player. Yeah, I often feel like if you have non-professional players, they sometimes, if they have a bad position, they completely lose interest in the game. Like, this is no, and then they make 1 or 2 like second-rate moves and lose quickly. And I don't know, probably Camille, you probably share the same experience. You have played certainly a bunch of grandmasters as well as I did, and if those guys have a bad position, they often just start to play. Like, it sometimes happens that they are a little bit, imprecise in the opening, or they overlook a certain detail and then get into trouble, but they will spot that they're in trouble, and then all of a sudden, they can switch gears and things get difficult. Those people are very difficult to beat because they often find precisely the moment where they see, okay, I'm worse, but I'm not losing if I'm doing all that there is, and then they do all that there is, and then you're not winning quite often. Yeah. So you have to, very strong players, you often have to beat more than once.
Because when you start your chess career, when you start your chess education, then one of the most important things to learn is to learn how to attack so successfully. But this 21st century, with the engines, with all the material, with all the books that you can get, the defense is very underestimated. And yeah, I think that defense is also very, very important skill in chess. And this is also what even analyzing top players' games can show you, that this position could be saved by this and this. And this shows that this defense can even be more important than attack in certain cases.
Absolutely. And it's also a huge difference in the quality of games if you compare games from the present to some games from the past. If you look at games even from the 19th century sometimes, if you have those super strong attacking players like even like Anderson or Morphy earlier, or people later like Spielmann or Marshall, if you got them in attacking position, I think they could play on a super high level. I mean, they could calculate variations well, they found spectacular attacking ideas, but in defense they were terrible. I mean, really, this is really astounding sometimes. Yeah, they didn't find many pretty basic things that nowadays a top player would always find. But I think there was a very lopsided thing. They had more fun attacking, and this is what they did well. But in the defense, oh my God, yeah.
Only Steinitz was the first player who just formulated the first rules of successful defense in chess. And he was the one who said that he doesn't have to castle or something because his king is going to defend itself. And he was famous for like playing the king's gambit with the king on e2 or something like that.
Yeah, chess has such a rich history of developing certain concepts and revising the concepts, refuting some of them. Sometimes even concepts are rediscovered when you see some of the things that happened over the history of, for example, certain opening lines. When I was compiling my current repertoire, the one that is advertised here, the Magnus repertoire, the first high-level Sveshnikov game was in 1910 by Lasker in the World Championship match against Karl Schlechter. And I have no clue if there's, I mean, it would be probably funny to find if there's some kind of contemporary annotation of this game, what people back then thought about the move e5, weakening everything and looking pretty odd. Probably they thought it was just like a rubbish idea that Lasker was coming up over the board, and nowadays it's a super fashionable opening, and it has developed over time with certain ideas getting added all the time, and the chess just changes all of the time. You learn more and you get a little bit better every day, finding new things. Bishop f8 was played, so this is just like, I think, a waiting move, no? Nothing, there's no particular idea connected to that. Probably he expects knight e5, c6 and wants to avoid any unpleasant forks.
Yeah, this thing that you said about these openings in the beginning of the 20th century, that people were just valuing center and active play very, very highly, but they failed to understand that you can also play some openings where you give up the center just to attack it later. So this was also the case with the King's Indian defense. So in the 30s or the 40s, people, or like even world champions, were criticizing the King's Indian. But what is this? You just give up the center. Why are you playing like this? But then came Bronstein, Geller, Stein, these players that played the King's Indian really, really well, and they showed that you don't have to take the center. You can just give up the center in the first phase of the game, just to attack it with the pieces later. And this is how the Grunfeld, the Benoni, such openings were introduced.
Yeah, this is really, if you look at like the 1920s or 30s, if d4 was played, it was completely mandatory almost that d5 and e6 was going to be played. The classical Queen's Gambit that was on the board in 30, no, not quite. I think 30 games of the 33 game match between Alekhine and Capablanca. They had like 30 out of 32 games were Queen's Gambits. They had one Queen's Indian and one French, I think. And they had funny annotations at the time. I still have the tournament book. I'm not sure if it is New York 24 or New York 27 by Alekhine, when Capablanca in one game played with black e4, g6. Yeah, and Alekhine would annotate question mark. Capablanca is just making a little fun of his opponent. He shouldn't do that. Yeah, and he didn't make any fun. He was just probably, I don't know, feeling experimental. Yeah. It's also interesting if you check the games from back then that the strongest players, no, only the strongest really, they recognized that those hypermodern ideas worked. Yeah, like Capablanca, for example, later in his career, he sometimes played knight f3, g3, like the Reti system. He adopted those ideas. On Alekhine, he played the Grünfeld. Yeah, he played Alekhine's defense, obviously, which is super hypermodern. So they recognized that these things are working. After a little bit of time, yeah, sometimes they had an initially bad reaction to that, and then they looked at it and said, okay, if it works, it works. So Queen a1 played. This is a move that I like because White has a simple idea, Queen a4 to b5, and if you get there, it's a bit of a bind.
Maybe Queen a6, not Queen a4. Probably even better. Maybe. Just to attack immediately.
Yeah, that's probably a bit more powerful. But it's the thing to spot this square. Yeah, spot that from d1, you want to be on b5. That is a strong positional move. Now b5, I wanted to say it's the only move, and it was played. Yeah, that was the only move. If White gets to b5, it's game over. That's a bind. So b5 was played, knight e5. Yeah, and now of course it's always super nice to have this square, but you're not attacking much from there.
Do we prevent it or not?
Yeah, the more problematic thing is that b5 is so weak. So
okay, I would play Queen d6 here.
Yeah. So Queen. Well, it doesn't really help all that much. I wanted to go Queen a7, but
yeah, Rook c7.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine there, of course. Yeah, if you check this looks pretty bad, but I wondered if this is the best way to do it.
With Rook c1, do I not get closer to a draw here? Oh no, because there is b5 hanging in the end.
Yeah, that's a funny line. Let's show this. This is a good one. So Rook c1 is a discovered attack here on the queen, and if the queen takes, there's this intermediate check. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, I'm going to take b5. And I don't think with 2 pawns down you're going to hold this. That's
no. This is over. Probably
not possible. So we expect. Yeah, anyway, we played Queen b6. Yeah, this is a better move here. Stopping the immediate invasion. Queen b6 is a good move. Yeah, now can we do something better than Rook c1?
Do you think that Black should play something like h5, h4? At least to start White taking some measures against the attack on the king side.
Yeah, maybe. I really feel like Black is in extreme trouble because even if you get, I played Rook c1. Even if you get just like Rook traded, the danger of this is that at the end of the day, even if you trade it down to just 2 minor pieces, yeah, and White will force your pawn to go forward to b4. This is just bad. You put a knight on d3 that is constantly attacking b4, and then you're expanding with e4, f4, e5, and you're probably going to crush Black. I mean, it's opposite colored bishops, but nah, looks pretty awful. So he took it. I think this scenario would be, I mean, it's not so easy to do this, but in a position like that, you might be able to just play like Queen c6. Queen a7 was played here. And now let's see. We can try to force the pawn forward, yeah, to get it to b4. And that would allow us to attack it or get the c4 square. Both, I think, would be quite favorable.
Yeah, but if I play b4 with queens on the board, there is still this idea of queen a3 maybe.
Sure, possible. Yeah, but you can always also consider, like, let's say this is here, yeah? You can put the bishop to c4, cover this, and then try to advance. I wouldn't mind a queen trade there even.
I think that black should avoid exchanging queens.
Yeah. Yeah, the ending would be, I mean, obviously one-sided, but also probably not possible to hold. So let me unpaint all this stuff and then see how Grishuk is doing this. He's got 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes, and Duda is down to 8, which is plenty. I mean, they're not in any time hurry here.
What do you think about the move g4 here?
I wanted to suggest something similar actually. I want to say, can we expand on the king side a little bit? That's it's definitely an interesting move.
Yeah, because the rule is simple. If your pieces in the endgame are placed perfectly, you should start looking for a pawn play. So here, I think that my knight is perfect. I think that the queen is good either because it controls the c file. It defends the first rank, and the bishop on g2 is also fine. So I think it's time for something like g4, h4, g5 to start some kind of breakthrough on the king side.
What I was thinking is maybe I can also like prepare this a little bit. Let's say something like bishop f3 here, which gives me the g2 square for the king, which is pretty convenient. And I can also go queen c8 possibly and pin you here. And then like g4, g5. The knight wouldn't have any square then. I mean d5, but okay, I'm happy to take this. This is also an idea. Yeah, white has to be white has to look here for the most precise way to activate without allowing any sort of counterplay. I kind of like bishop f3, and it looks very harmonious to me. But
yeah, that's why I wanted to retreat this bishop from b7 to g2 to f3, not to g2.
Yeah.
A few months ago.
I agree. That looked also more natural to me. So g4, still, we can check this. This is not a stupid idea at all. So g4.
The only problem with g4 might be knight d7, but I'm not even forced to exchange these knights.
No, I wouldn't do that. Knight c6 probably.
Maybe queen a2, but it looks depressing.
Yeah, black has to do something like that. Yeah, interesting.
So maybe preparing with bishop f3 is more natural.
Another thing, another thing could of course be bishop f1. Just trying to provoke it forward if you think that this is going to help you. If we go queen c6, does black have any kind of counterplay that is of concern? Let's say this. Not really, right?
I don't think so.
And we are threatening queen b7, which is deadly. So queen a1 looks pretty silly. He tried something similar. He played queen c8.
I would like to play g6 with black sooner or later, just to avoid problems on the back rank.
Wow, what an awful position. I mean, I just noticed an idea that looks maybe funny, but it could be pretty strong. So let's say you go g6. I can try something like this, intending bishop e8. Just trying to say, okay, you cannot allow me to take f7, of course, and if you take, I'm not unhappy that the opposite colored bishops are gone. It could be an idea. I mean, it's coming even with a tempo here against the pawn. It can be considered, yeah.
Yeah, this looks bad.
Yeah. So we got a computer eval in the chat. I'm checking it, like 2.5. That's kind of what I thought. It looks,
2.5 is problematic.
yeah.
But that means that we'll have at least 2 more games.
Yeah, it means that it's going to be a long day, huh? And I haven't had any reasonable food since breakfast. That's not good. But probably it will happen. And the games are all interesting, so this is cool. I don't really think we can be, unless you're a diehard fan of your compatriot, we're not unhappy to see more games.
I mean, if he wins in the Armageddon, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, the Armageddon games.
But as soon as he wins.
But the Armageddon is coming pretty far down the road, right? We would have two somewhat faster rapid games first, then Blitz, then Blitz.
4 Blitz games, and Armageddon is game number 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, this is probably not happening. I mean, I just think that they play in a sharp way, and probably something will happen earlier. But maybe they just play a match without any draws. That is always funny. Sometimes you get this. Okay,
when they played Speed Chess Championship, it was like they got the first draw after, I think, 25 games.
Yeah, it can happen. So B4 played.
This is World of Suffering and Pain. Okay, isn't like Knight C6 very strong here?
Yeah, where are you going? Yeah, probably you have to go to D7, no? I really see lack of alternatives.
Do we want to exchange queens with white or not? Probably not.
It is probably going to be very good, but I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, so okay. So let's postpone Knight C6.
It looks like there's more. I mean, this is not a terrible move by any means. Bishop E8 is the idea, and I don't really see a move that black can play.
Maybe Queen E7. I really want to do H5, H4 with black.
I'm not going to let you. He played Bishop B7. Yeah, that is also something that I thought of, because
me too.
Queen C7. So probably Queen to B6 now.
Knight C6, Knight E7 is the other threat, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So okay, what are you doing then?
Okay, Knight C6 is not a threat because there is Queen A1 and you can play G6 later. But Queen C7 is a threat.
Yeah. So Queen B6?
Probably, yeah.
And then this one?
G6 you have to do?
G6 is somehow saving you.
But instead of going Knight C6, I think G4 may be strong because it has a direct threat.
Yeah, we got an update. We got an update. So we had the check being played, King G2. And now what is he doing against Queen C7? Maybe
Queen C3.
Exactly, Queen C3 could be a move.
What else do we have? If not Queen C3, then what?
Yeah, Queen A5 runs into Knight C6. So, yeah, probably Queen C3. Yep, that's probably going to happen.
But Queen C3, Bishop C6, what do we do then?
Yeah, you're right.
Because the Queen is kind of outside of the action.
Yeah, and again, this is the idea. Queen A5 was played. Okay, I thought that Knight C6 would be pretty awful.
But there's Queen D5, Queen D7. This is his idea. Tricky Duda.
That just about works. Just about. Okay.
But as you mentioned, even in the worst case scenario for white, if the queens are exchanged, it's still a world of pain for black.
That's true. Yeah, I mean the ending is probably somehow winning, but it's okay.
There is this direct idea also. If the queens are exchanged and the knight is not on f6, then I have d5, and if you take, then bishop takes d5 and f7 hangs.
He went bishop c6, returning to this bishop e8 idea maybe. And of course queen b7 now. b7, queen b7 is a threat. It's an additional problem. What a pain.
It's like black didn't do a single threat in the whole game.
No, it's terrible. I wanted to point out one thing. If you say this is the threat, maybe queen to b6, yeah? And white also has g4 now, no? Threatening
the point
g5.
is that g5 and queen f8.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the threatening to push away the knight, and then you have the sacrifice here. So let's say g6, g5, knight h5, and queen f8 for a nice game. And g4, you kind of you have no reasonable move. Yeah, like g5 or something, but it's awful. So
I think that black is dead here.
So queen a7 was played. Yeah, now bishop e8 would force this trade, but I'm not sure that I would be... Oh, it actually, now, this is not bad, yeah? Bishop e8, it happened, yeah, and this is going to be game over. Because now white threatens knight d7, and that I don't think you can stop.
Yeah, you can go queen e7, but the knight versus the bishop with the pawn on b4 is completely winning.
Yeah.
You put the king on c4.
Yeah, like, for example, like exactly what you're saying. Here white can easily trade, because this is just going to fall. Yeah, you're going to go over here and pick this up. So that is a very easy win. Yeah,
and you have nothing else, I think.
Grishuk has not yet taken on e8. It's knight d7, a very fancy move here.
I wouldn't even consider it.
Yeah, I also wouldn't, but he doesn't play it immediately, it seems, according to the relay. And it could be strong, right?
So what do we do?
Knight cannot move, bishop cannot move, game over.
A complete dominance, yeah. I don't even have a way to get my queen to e4.
Yeah, it looks...
Because then I would try to convince you that with the queen on e4 and your queen on e8, I would have some chances.
Yeah.
For a perpetual.
Knight d7 is cute. Yeah, he's probably... I mean, he has 5 minutes. Yeah, he can easily figure this out. Then you don't even have to look for any kind of complicated stuff later. Yeah, knight d7 is game over. But it's a move that you can easily miss, yeah, because you have seen before that queen takes e8 is going to be very good for you, and then you don't even look. And knight d7 is a killer, I think. Very nice. So what are we saying here? Yeah, something went horribly wrong in the opening, yeah, for Jan Christof. We don't know what he exactly did wrong, but the position after move 14, 15 was absolutely crushing already. So
can I interrupt you and can we check something?
Yeah.
Okay, after knight d7, I want to put my queen on c6 somewhere, somehow. So I'm going to play queen c7 here.
Yeah.
You take, I go queen c6. This is definitely what Alexander is calculating. So I want to give a perpetual, that's obvious. So queen c6 check is the only move. Okay, you convinced me.
Yeah, I have this one.
That's why I need my queen on d5, but there's no way to get it. I think if in this position instead of queen c6 I have queen d5, it's a draw.
I can go f3 then. Yeah, you don't check me anymore.
So I need my queen on e4, not on d5.
Yeah, that's a tall order from
Yeah, yeah,
a7.
yeah.
That is the thing.
Yep.
No, this is just curtains, I think. He played knight d7. You just made sure that nothing bad happens, because obviously queen takes e8 is also winning in the long run. So you want to make sure that with knight d7 you're not making a fool out of yourself. And I think he made it. He made it clear that it works. So are we? What are we expecting next game? They switch colors every time, I guess. Yeah, they don't. Or are they going to draw again? Like who's
Uh,
going to have
I
white?
I think it was like when they played classical, then they repeated colors, and now I think they switch. But I'm not sure. It's
Okay.
possible that they don't switch.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean here with black, that was a complete opening disaster. Amazingly, in such a solid opening. I don't know. Maybe already the capture was a bit questionable here. This early capture. Night before really looked very difficult for black. Looked very unattractive, I think. Okay, it's something to be checked with the database, and yeah, then we would know a little bit more about it. But our impression is that it was very problematic. Yeah, here actually we expect resignation, or is there anything that can be done? No, resignation. So it's even. It's even
Yeah.
again, and we have a new set of 2 games. Yeah, that is definitely going to be a thriller. This one, we might even be on here much longer.
I
So
think we have 18 minutes until the next game starts, if I'm not mistaken.
there is a schedule, but they started a bit quicker, right? So we probably. I'm going to watch out if something happens, and please give us also a shout in the chat if you see something, because due to that earlier PGN problems, I had to switch files a little bit, and I'm not 100% positive that I would get the moves if they come in. So we're not expecting a game like in 3 minutes or so to happen. So I'm advocating like a 5-minute break,
Yeah.
and then we'll be back. So guys, hang on, and we will be back in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sure. See you.
Second. And here we go. So we are back again, but the game is not on yet. But we expect it to start pretty shortly. Yeah, in 9 minutes, right? That is what we would have according to schedule. So 9 minutes is not that long. So guys, in the chat, there are plenty of people active in the chat. Do you have any questions? Like whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to the event here. Maybe anything else, something related to chess improvement. We both had our experiences with chess teaching, so maybe something that can help you. Just fire away. What did happen, by the way, with Magnus's stream? Any of you?
Just one question that I wanted to ask you about Magnus' stream.
Yeah.
Take a wild guess. What is his rating on Chess24 now?
Oh, I don't know. I have no clue. What did he have? Like 3,000 something?
He has 3290.
3290. Okay, that's pretty high, right?
That's an animal.
That's okay. We got moves.
We got moves.
We got moves.
We are gods of timing.
Okay, so interesting. Interesting. We have a Slav now. Young Christof is changing his approach, and yeah, we have this line here with Bishop D3. Interesting to see now that he plays Knight BD7. This kind of setup is usually believed to be better for White. So that's going to be interesting to see what he has planned. So B3, B6 was played. Yeah, I mean, when I say better for White, I don't mean a huge advantage, but it is not believed to be completely equal. Black now usually plays Bishop B7 and Bishop E7, not Bishop D6. We will come to that later. What do we have? Bishop B7 played, yeah. And now I expect Bishop E7. The move Bishop D6 is often a bit problematic due to Knight E5, when White manages to post up the Knight with F4 later. There have been some very impressive games by Kramnik in this kind of position. He beat, for example, Luc van Vele once in a very nice game. It's not impossible to play Bishop D6, but usually they play Bishop E7 so that Knight E5 can always be taken with the Knight. Oops, not like that. Like that, obviously. So I would expect this move to happen. And then Black is, yeah, very solid, but probably a little bit worse. Okay, he took on C4. That is an entirely different idea.
So he borrows the idea from the previous game, but I'm not sure if this was a good experience.
Yeah, interesting. B takes and C5. So a completely different approach now, with some probability of hanging pawns, but it doesn't happen.
Can I sacrifice a pawn with D5? I would start with this one.
You can, and Grishuk also can do that. He has played it already.
Wow.
And that points me to the question, is this already bad for Black?
Because if we take, what's the idea? We play Knight C3, right? Or Knight H4?
I think there can be a couple of things. First of all, I think White can probably simply recapture. This is going to be compensation for sure.
Mm-hmm. And Grishuk is the type of player that loves playing these positions.
Yeah,
he played the anti-Moscow gambit against the Slav for many years and with great results.
Yeah, it's already happened. And the thing is that what you know nowadays is that, for example, after Bishop takes, White might have something direct here, like E4, possible. But you always have enough compensation after just playing a move like Knight C3, because Black can never allow the capture on D5. That would be disastrous, so he has to go back. And then if you play like E4, you have fantastic compensation here, because E5 is going to come and every single piece is extremely active.
And in some scenarios, even E6, sacrificing the second pawn to play Knight G5 and Rook E1.
Yes, this is pretty dangerous. And Knight takes is probably immediately bad. At least it looks bad. We just have to find out why exactly it's bad.
Bishop E4?
Yeah, this looks kind of normal. I just wondered, like, knight e3 is...
Knight e3, I want to go queen e2.
That could be enough. That could be enough. But it's a tough call. Yeah, there might be other things that are very dangerous. But okay, let's go queen e2 and check this a little bit. Bishop e4, queen e3.
Yep.
You know, probably queen e7.
Knight c3, just.
Yeah, this is more than scary.
I mean, bishop f3 is possible, bishop and queen f3, but it doesn't look right. I have 5 pieces, you have 2 pieces. Defending.
This, you know, I really wonder what Black's idea was when entering this, because I mean, if you cannot take on d5, your position is just terrible.
Let me check the database. No engines, as usual, but I'm just curious what statistics say.
My guess is that d takes c4 is already a bit odd. I cannot quite imagine that this is a regularly played line. No, the problem is White's development is...
Duda played like that. Duda played c5. And d5 is a novelty if I'm not setting up the position wrong.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, no one has ever played d5, but it seems to me a very natural move. And Duda played that in 2013 in European Team Championship under 18. And his opponent played knight bd2 and lost. And Duda is the only player above 2200 who played like this.
Yeah. Yeah, he has taken with the bishop now. And now we will see if e4 is going to be played or just knight c3. I mean, both look very, very strong. Not quite sure what's better.
I would start with knight c3, for sure.
It looks very, very natural. Yeah, one thing to check is if Black takes here, we always have the check. So
yeah, this is over.
This is terrible. And that more or less leaves bishop c6.
And the other point is that if you take on f3 and play bishop e7, something like this, then I don't even have to prove anything immediately. But I think if I play rook a to d1 here, this is also a big problem. Because if you castle, I have multiple ways of getting very good position.
Yeah, White's bishops here are fantastically strong. Yeah, I'm not painting well, but I think it's clear that White has so much more activity, and the pawn that Black is enjoying here is this pawn, yeah, the c5 pawn, and you can argue that sometimes it wouldn't be bad if you have this for a piece. Yeah, it just completely boxed in. You have to appreciate the power, long-term power of this pawn sacrifice, because the pieces are all activated. A good way to compare this is if we just go back a little bit. I'm just going to make a comparison to a different opening so that you see why this pawn sacrifice is fairly natural. So this is a line that was played a little bit, or it was a sideline for a couple of years, and it was believed that White is better after d5 takes and knight h4 or knight g5. But it wasn't so clear. So Black kept playing this, and then somebody, I think it was Gelfand amongst others, they just took it on d5 and played this position. And they said this is enough compensation. And if you compare this a little bit, yeah, you can easily imagine that what we have on the board could be even better.
It's like 2 tempos up.
You have tempi, yeah, and you're just are better placed to go to the king side, where you're ultimately going to attack. So going back to the game, he played e4. Certainly possible, yeah. Yeah. Can Black take? We have to check it. It looks terrible, but let's check it. So this
tough
one,
to believe.
Yeah, it's more than
just take and go rook e1.
This is like 19th or no, even earlier, 17th century chess. Black does not have any development, and this is going to be over immediately. For example, after f5, let's just kill this off, yeah?
I go knight c3.
Okay. I wanted this one, but...
Yes, I wanted this one too, but I think it won't run away.
Knight
Okay,
c3
maybe it's good immediately.
Yeah, it's a disaster. I mean, black cannot take this. He went back to c6, and now white really has a decision to make. Do you want to play e5 and try to immediately kill black, or do you play knight c3? I guess e5 has to be checked, because it could be easily over immediately.
So knight g4 doesn't make any sense when the pawn on e5 is defended. And I think knight g4 immediately falls to some trouble.
So let's say knight d5.
Bishop e4?
That is not very imaginative, but probably very strong.
Maybe after bishop e4 you have knight e3 though.
Yeah, I wanted to go here and... Oh, sorry, that was a really bad.
That's a problem that the bishop is on b2, yeah.
Yeah, but it would be good, yeah, if it wasn't for knight g5. Okay, the rook e1 or something is still interesting, but you probably have something more.
But I would stick to bishop e4, I think, even after knight e3, because knight e3 is kind of forced, I guess. And here you have a choice. I think just take the knight.
Yeah, like
bishop
this.
takes, knight c3 to get some tempo.
If this is the most convincing way to do it, probably it is enough. I don't know.
How many? Okay, I sacrificed only one pawn.
I still like to have more. Let us check this a little bit. If we have something better here.
Maybe we can play bishop c4.
Yeah.
To avoid this trick with knight e3.
So black doesn't have a good way to cover this. And if you have to move it, you're just going to probably just play e6.
Maybe knight c7 to cover e6 is.
Yeah, knight c7.
It doesn't look right. Maybe. Okay, all of these main lines in the Najdorf also look very dangerous for black, but when you actually learn them, they are not that bad.
Yeah, here black might play knight e6 to block it, yeah. So let's check this a little bit. Is this the most forcing way to do it? Is there something else that we can do? I mean, this is not going to be bad, yeah. It's hard to believe.
Maybe you have some trick like bishop e7 here, and if you capture, I have knight f4. No, I don't have knight f4 because c6 is hanging, so it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we already have a move, and it makes sense, as it is so often with those guys. He played rook e1, preparing all this.
So bishop e7 is kind of forced, right?
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
It's just do or die. Well.
Yeah. So, and then we check e5, and now, for example, after knight d5, bishop e4, this idea is now out of the picture as the rook can capture.
Tricky Grishuk.
This is a very significant improvement. Now knight b4, and what now? How do we end this game?
Okay, if I take on c6 and play e6, then
I mean, it's clear that we have something that we are much better, but I'm thinking, is there something?
I take on e6 probably. Knight is hanging. That's the point. Maybe you have some trick like knight d to e5 with a weak back rank for white, although, but I'm not sure about it. Just maybe.
Yeah, that could work. That could work.
But
Yeah.
just knights.
Just to show what is going on. So
Mm.
takes. Now there's the mate threat, and this is a little bit awkward. And there's no really great way to stop this. I mean, we might still be fine, but it feels like there's room for improvement. Even here, you can think twice.
This is the position that we like to see. I mean, as a Polish player, I don't like this that much because Jan Krzysztof Duda is playing with black. But as a commentator, I really appreciate this stuff.
It's good fun. It's good fun.
Okay, what if I go e6 immediately?
Yeah, it's certainly an option. So let's say e6 takes.
I take with the rook, attack the bishop.
Yeah, is bishop g7 completely terrible? We might.
No, I want to play it, but I just want to win a tempo.
So you want to take with the rook, yeah? Or what?
Yes.
Yeah, take with the rook. Okay.
I would expect to die here with black. My next move is knight g5.
Yeah, and then there are all kinds of wacky threats. Let's show one funky line. Come on, knight c7. I go knight g5. Yeah.
I can take the bishop also, but
okay, you know what I'm after, right?
Yes.
So this, and we have a very acute checkmate.
Yeah, taking with the bishop on g6 first, not with the queen, would be a blunder.
Yeah, it's not as nice, yeah, but this is the kind of thing that you want to have on the board. Okay, let's return to the actual game because something else happened, and it's a pretty, I mean, it's a kind of move queen e7 that.
Okay, but if nothing else works, you want to castle long, right?
Yeah, want is probably the word. You maybe have to. So if we play knight c3, just to start with simple stuff, it happened. Okay, so knight c3 and castles queenside. Oh God.
Knight d5. Oh.
Ugh. Yeah, I mean, this is not bad. Okay, knight d5.
Knight d5 is probably crushing.
It's fairly forced. Yeah, the pawn has to take. Sorry, the bishop has to take, I guess.
Oh, this is probably losing on the spot because e takes d5 then.
Yeah, where do you go then? You want to go queen e6 or?
No idea. Maybe just knight d5 is winning here. Okay, let's check it. Let's take with the bishop.
Yeah.
Okay, my point is that e takes d5, queen d6, and I want to play bishop a6 check.
Yep.
King has to go somewhere at knight e5, and you don't have a way of protecting f7, and you can't take.
Yeah, you have this also. Ouch.
And queen d5, in the worst case scenario, I can even take the material.
Yeah, you win the house in this position. So.
And if you take with the knight, I win a piece.
It wins a piece. So you would have to move the queen then.
But then queen d6 runs into some trouble for sure. Maybe just knight g5. But okay, knight g5, then knight d5, and it's not that clear. There has to be something winning here.
It's amazing that it's not completely obvious.
Okay, knight g5.
Yeah, it looks strong. It's just like you feel like could be something better. So let's say to check some lines. If black takes with this, we cover this for the moment.
Yeah, I take with the d5.
And now, I mean, this is a line that we should check. Here's a check. And after the trade, white will take f7 and win material.
So you have to take with the knight, I guess.
Yeah, and then the question is, do we take on f7 or... Okay, if we recapture, this is actually not super convincing, huh?
Mm-hmm. I mean, bishop e4 is still probably excellent for white.
Could be, yeah, but...
Okay, then you can... No, I think it's still good. Bishop e4, take on d1, even rook takes d1. And even this position should be great for white.
Yeah, it feels difficult to imagine how black covers
But
everything.
bishop e4, rook e4. And
Yeah. All right, we have an update. Knight d5 played, queen e8 was the reply.
Wow.
And then a4. Just push the pawn. He's just saying that black has no move.
What a killer. So if white goes over a5, black will have to go b5, I guess. But it doesn't convince me.
No, not so much. Bishop d6 was played.
I mean, Duda is rather known for surviving these kinds of positions where he's screwed up.
Yeah.
I mean, now he had a game against Estonian player, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't remember the name, in the European Chess Team Championship.
So bishop a6 check was the move. And I'm wondering really if there's not some way to just play e5 and win the game.
Yeah, Kaido Kulauts, I now recall.
You have to be a tough defender, but if you're just like completely toast, and he's down to 1 minute something, and this is the faster rapid time control. The 10 plus, what is that, 10 plus 5, do you know?
Yes, it's 10 plus 5.
Yeah, so after the check. So there's bishop b7 and king b8. That's commentary 101. So bishop b7, if we check with that, if we start with that.
Okay, you can take and play a5, I guess.
Yeah.
And now b5 is not that great after a5 with white. I apologize.
Can I not just go e5? I mean, I'm just...
Probably you can, but with the rook on d8, I would be slightly careful.
Yeah.
But you probably can.
It looks like it works, I think. King b8 was played.
Isn't knight f6 just winning?
So knight f6.
And yeah, the point is e5 now.
Yeah, knight f6 has to be played.
e5.
Then you say e5. Bishop takes check. That's the thing, yeah?
Okay, so he has to play after e5 something like bishop c7, I guess. Okay, I take on f6 here, even.
Yeah, just to make a good show out of it. It probably
rook d1, rook d1.
It just sorry.
Rook d1 and rook d1.
Rook d1, yeah. And now the black queen is running out of squares, and something like queen g8 and takes is a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, this is a nice line, I think.
Yeah. You're not getting out of this. You can take here for the moment. I bet you can promote because it's of course it's a pin on the ad rank. So okay, so let's have a look. In the game we had
king b8.
We had this king b8, and then
queen b3, knight takes e4. This guy has no fear.
Yeah, I mean it's like.
But why didn't he play knight takes f6? What did we miss in that line?
I don't know. I don't know really.
He has to play knight takes f6 and e5. What is your move? The point also, if you can show it, after knight takes f6, knight takes f6, after e5, bishop takes f3 doesn't work. Because after queen takes f3, we have a mate on b7.
Yeah, there's a mate threat. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I also didn't see it. Don't see why this should, why this shouldn't win. It looks completely winning. I mean, the game also looks completely winning, but yeah. So queen b3, knight e4, a5 was played. a5, bishop c7.
Okay,
and
one thing
takes,
about
takes.
Duda, one thing about Jan Krzysztof is that he never ever gets any nervous in time trouble. I mean, he may feel that his position is unpleasant, but he will just play very calmly. He can have 5 seconds and he will move without any problems.
So, what do we expect now? Bishop b5. Yeah, I wanted to suggest it, and it was played. So
okay, chat says that it was like plus a lot for Grishuk, but now it's +1.
okay, yeah, I still think black won't survive for let's say 5-6 moves, and then it's over here. You don't defend this with 20 seconds. If he does, it's, I mean, all the power to him. That's fantastic if he manages this. But
if somebody has to defend it, it's going to be him.
Yeah, so bishop b7 played here, and now how do we get the final blows? And
this doesn't work, right? You go queen a4 here, and it's over. I think
queen a4, bishop d5,
queen a7, bishop a6. It's over.
Ah, you're right.
So queen a4 looks like a winning move here.
Yeah, that looks like it wins.
And the threat is to play queen a7, king c8, and bishop a6.
Yeah, this is one way, or bishop c6. Yeah, would also probably just win. Like even if like
queen a4 played.
Yeah, queen a4 played. Even here, yeah, bishop c6 is also winning. You cannot stop queen a8.
Yeah, even chats confirms that white is winning.
Okay, so queen a4. It wasn't possible to hold this. Queen e6 was played. White still has to finish it off. So how to do it? Queen a7, bishop a6, is that the thing?
But then queen d5. I'm not sure. I have a tricky line, you can show it. Because queen a7, king c8, queen a8.
a8, okay.
Yeah, bishop takes, rook takes, and now bishop b8 runs into bishop a6, so king b7, then bishop a6. But after king a8, knight c7, and I just lost the count of material here.
Yeah, it's not enough.
No, it's not enough.
It's very pyromaniac.
I wanted to be tricky, yeah.
So,
but it's not something you play in the final.
I'm sorry, yeah. Queen e6 is actually on the board. So, and now Grishuk has to find something here. Yeah, okay. Black is making it tricky. It's not at all. Bishop c6. Wow. Okay. Bishop cannot take. That is mate.
Okay, and queen can take also because queen check at knight e7. Wow.
That's cute.
What a Grishuk.
This is great, yeah? And you have another mate. You don't win the queen, you checkmate. Wow. This is why you do your tactics training, guys.
Queen a8 is a threat.
Yeah, bishop takes h2 was played. Knight takes. Does that make a difference? Not really, right?
Yeah, there's the c7 square for the king. But
okay.
But knight e7 is still a threat.
You win the queen, yeah? This. This is what we got at the moment, and he won the queen. Rook a8. And it continues.
Over. Seriously? Wow.
It continues.
This guy really doesn't want to give up.
It continues.
But even after rook takes e4 is hopeless.
Yeah,
rook down.
You just have too much material, right?
Mm.
It's just too much stuff. The game is not technically over yet.
I can even take on a8 here.
Yeah, that would be easiest. I mean, but white has probably gained a couple of seconds, and has now time to figure it out. He took on e4. Rook a7. Rook a7, king c6. So let's be serious here, right? This is a rook, right?
Just rook e7 here.
Yeah, white
I threaten both minor pieces.
Yeah, and I mean white is a rook up for 3 pawns, and this is how it goes. Knight f3. You threaten now to take on d7 to simplify it even more. And really, there's nothing that black can do.
There's this trick rook d7 hanging.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's nothing that you can do. If you could, yeah, b5 played. Now, yeah, it's a matter of I don't know if this is really the.
Just rook d7 here. Rook d7 here. No technique needed after this one.
He took f7. I mean, you can argue that you can simply take everything.
But okay, after king b6, you can just go back and okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah. So it looks like Alexander Grischuk is taking the lead, and we really have to question Black's opening preparation here, right? This is just really awful. If you look at the position after d5, I mean, maybe if you look at this deeper and the computer is helping you, maybe you find some way to stay on the board for Black, but this position is just looking immediately terrible. So that's really questionable, I think, to go into this. Now, okay, let's just stay till the end here and see if anything interesting happens. Rook takes g7, so white is just taking all those pawns, and he says that basically whenever the pawns go further, you can always sacrifice one piece back and be completely in control. So got this now. Yeah, they have to play very quickly, so knight f8. Okay. Yeah. It's still a rook, and the pawns are not really doing much. Is anybody in the chat actually that well informed about the overall standings of that Grand Prix? If Grischuk is winning this match and he's about to take the lead, is he qualified for the candidates? That would be an interesting thing to know, because that would be even more important in some way than winning the tournament. Does anybody know this in so much detail, if this is going to be the case? It would be interesting. Maybe somebody can check this. So we get this now. It's still a rook, but okay.
Nothing happened. Nothing changed.
Rook c1, king b5.
But even from that horrible position, he managed to create something that even looks like a counterplay.
Yeah, I mean,
this is completely lost. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah. Huh. No, this is not right. Somebody says Grischuk isn't qualified yet. He needs to do well in the final something. No, it's his final tournament. So his points are fixed after that. The question is, are there actually two people that can overtake him in the final Grand Prix? And I think that is it's very unlikely anyway. But the question is it already done with the win here? Ah, okay. Somebody says Sasha needs to win to be sure. So that's then very important. I actually tried today to find out about the prize money for this event. And I mean, I only took 5 minutes, but I failed. I couldn't find out what the actual stake is in euros or dollars is. Maybe you can. I know that the total prize fund is like 130,000, probably euros. Not sure.
Yeah, let me check it.
But I couldn't find out what the stake for the absolute first place is.
Yeah, I got it, I think. It's 38,000 euros for the first one, but I'm not sure if this is the right one.
38,000, okay.
No, for each tournament, The prize money is 24,000 euros for the winner, 14,000 for the second, 10,000 for the two semi-finalists, 8,000 for the second round losers, and 5,000 for the round one losers.
Okay, so they are playing for 8,000 here, right?
For 10,000. It's 24, 24, and 14.
14. Okay, so it's 10,000. No, that's
not a bad payday.
No, not too bad.
Yeah. How is he not lost already?
Yeah, those 2 pawns still pose a bit of a threat, at least. I mean, it is lost, but you still have to do it, yeah.
But just rook a7 here.
Yeah, you should take it. You should take it. I know, it was black's move. Yeah, knight c5. I mean, I think it's completely okay that black is continuing. There's no point in giving up. You still have, as long as you have the pawns.
He has the right to play.
Yeah, and it's not like there's. I mean, as long as there's a possible scenario that is imaginable, and the scenario is pretty clear. Yeah, just white has to do something, of course, very stupid, but it could happen, and the pawns do promote. So,
and you have the knight.
Yeah. That's an old Larry Christiansen saying, you never resign unless you have, as long as you have a knight. So he sacrificed on c3 and played rook c7. Yeah, that looks straightforward, right? Yeah, that looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's fairly simple. So c2 was tried. Yeah. I mean, it's very resilient, really.
That guy just doesn't want to give up.
And we got here. Yeah, black only needs to get the friggin' pawn and he's back. I mean, that's not completely out of this world that this could happen. But white should be able to keep it, right? How do we do this? White is white to move, so I go rook e7, I guess, yeah?
I think anything wins here.
Probably, yeah. But you want to make it as easy as possible, yeah? So he played king d2, king e4. And now probably the check and king up, like rook c4.
If Christof doesn't win this game, that would be probably the biggest misplay that I have ever seen in that type kind of tournament.
On that level, yeah. Yeah, but it doesn't happen. So interesting. I never really knew that about the Grand Prix standing, that it's actually relevant how you win the matches. So if you win them during the classical games, you gain more points than winning it through tiebreaks. And therefore there are some options that some players could gain lots of points theoretically in the final leg, because if they win all their matches in classical, they would get very, very high amount of points. So okay, there's probably some intrigue there anyway, even though it's probably practically not possible to get it. So we are here. Yeah, white can just push everything forward and avoid the forks.
I mean, this position would be slightly trickier if black would have a bishop, because, you know, there are some cases if the pawn advances to f6, then the light squared bishop can draw alone with the king.
Yeah.
But with the knight, it's a trivial win.
Yeah, that is fairly simple. And it's always important to mention, I mean, probably everybody takes this for granted, but this is increment, so there's not an issue with the clock being down for white or anything, because this can be a problem, yeah, if you have non-increment time control. So it's over, yeah. So black resigned here after rook a6. if you have a non-increment, you have the weirdest things. Yeah, I've once witnessed an endgame, just a bear queen against the bear knight, which is of course a simple win, but if white only has like 20 seconds, that can be quite a thing. Yeah, and he didn't manage it. Yeah, on a real board. Yeah, we're not talking pre-moves. Yeah, so that was the first quicker rapid time control game, and for the first time in this match, Grzesiek is taking over the lead and now brings or gets Duda in a must-win situation.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he does that with white at least. Yeah, he can try with white, and he managed a good win in the very first game with 1 c4. So we'll see what happens there. Do we have a clear schedule when they continue?
Probably. I don't know. Have no idea, but I don't think the break is going to be longer than
probably not.
10 minutes is the top, I think.
Is the now I got somebody's knocking on my door. Yeah, maybe the house is burning or something. I'll be back.
Yeah, sure. So my compatriot Jan Krzysztof Duda right now is in a must-win situation. That means that if he doesn't win the game, the tournament is over for him, and he is going to take the second place. So he's going to have white in the next game, which will start in about 10 minutes, I guess. And he has to do everything to complicate matters and try to destroy Alexander Grzesiek in the next game. So there are some questions about Jan Krzysztof Duda's opening repertoire. That is not very convincing in these games, and I agree. Nothing to add here. I mean, against Alexander Grzesiek in this match, he had trouble in almost every game that they have played. In both classical games, he was worse. Only the first rapid game today, Duda had a decent position in this English opening. But in all four games, besides the first one today, Duda's opening positions were not that great.
Yeah, so I'm back. Nothing bad happened. We didn't have, I don't know, a SWAT team in front of the house or burning fires or something. Nothing bad happened. So probably in a couple of minutes it will continue. Are there any questions that you guys have? Maybe anything about the games?
Maybe not the question, but I see the reference in the chat that Steve Martin says, I remember you, Kamil, you're the King's Indian attack guy. You beat me when I tried to play Caro-Kann. Yeah, that's true. I don't remember the game, but I created a course on Chessable about the King's Indian attack for white.
Did we ever play online?
I don't think so. Let me check.
Maybe back in the ICC days, yeah, that could be.
No, this is not going to be that fast, I think. They have to have at least 5 minutes of break between the games.
Yeah, absolutely. I have an eye on the board link, so we get any. You probably also check the video, right? Like the broadcast of the actual playing hall.
No, there's nothing there.
Okay.
Go Duda. Let's have more games.
You have something is different here. You have actually played Jan Krzysztof, right? You told me, right?
Yes.
In a really long match. How did it go again? You scored pretty well.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny because I was on Chess.com, I was waiting for the game, and then I see that Polish Fighter 3000 is online, so I sent the challenge, and to my amusement, he accepted that. And we played around 30 blitz games and around 50 bullet games in one match, so it went for like 4 hours straight without any break.
Oh, that's very cool, yeah.
And I scored around 20 out of 80, so it was not that bad, I think. I managed to score, to get 1/4 of the points available. And I was pretty happy with that result. But I can tell you one thing. In a blitz, it was possible to get some good positions and have some good games, while in bullet this guy is just unbeatable. This is a beast for me, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm always I'm not sure always, but in my experience, the most of the top players are also very, very quick in online bullet. This is what always amazes me. Sometimes you think, okay, they might not have that much of an experience there, and they are not so fast, yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, oh my God, they are blazingly fast. Yeah, and that always surprises me. Yeah, when you see some of those competitions, there are various bullet tournaments online, and then you see somebody like, oh my God, they're really fast. I mean, some are not, yeah, but I'm always amazed how fast actually Magnus is. I mean, you think that with all his obligations, yeah, playing a lot, yeah, doing promotion, whatever, that he wouldn't really have the time to practice mouse skills, yeah, but his mouse skills are fantastic. Yeah, it's really, really amazing.
This is what happened a few years ago. People were claiming that Hikaru Nakamura is the best online player because they just didn't know how Magnus was playing. When Magnus started playing, and when there was the first Speed Chess Championship, and Magnus convincingly beat Hikaru, then I think he proved that he's the best, even in this time controls.
Yeah, he beat him pretty convincingly. Yeah, that was 1+1 though, and I think Hikaru himself once said that he thinks that Magnus is better in 1+1, but he thought that in 1-0 he would be the favorite. This is probably an interesting proposition. You don't quite know what would happen there in 1-0.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, you can always argue that this is not real chess and so on, but it's spectacular to watch. I mean, if there would be pay-per-view, yeah, for Hikaru Nakamura Magnus Carlsen bullet match, I would pay.
I would pay a lot of money to watch that, yeah.
I would really pay. I mean, that would be fantastic fun, yeah. But, okay, we have so many also other promising players, yeah. If you probably have seen Firouzja playing bullet, which is also spectacular.
Yes.
And I recently just completely coincidentally found out that I played one bullet game against him in one of those tournaments and happened to win it. So I'm now, I mean, it was, very lucky and everything, but I know that I'm never going to play bullet against him again. I had to preserve that score. Yeah, so I can
just abort every game. No.
Yeah, just abort it. Yeah, never going to play. Yeah, so that's funny. How likely do you rate his chances to become world champion?
Duda or Firouzja? No idea. I mean, he's going for it, but okay, now we just could see one big progress from him, but there will be a moment where he stops, and there will be a moment where he will face some problems, and I think what defines a true player is how he is going to deal with these problems, because the problems will appear sooner or later, some kind of problems. And if he manages to do that, then he is a serious contender for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't yet seen him play on a very high level opposition. No? It really didn't happen all that much. But he's got the invite for Tata Steel 2020. And this is going to be very interesting. I think of all the younger players, he is probably the best chances in my mind. And I don't know, did you know that he lost a game in April 2019 against the 2100 player?
Yes. But he was completely winning. I think he just blundered something there.
Yeah, exactly.
I was following this game.
He blundered the rook, and he actually lost against. I'm not sure about this. I could be wrong. I think at the time the reigning under 14 champion of Germany. Yes, it's a girl. It was a girl, and she can always claim, "Hey, I beat this 2,700 guy, maybe a future world champion." This is really cool. So we don't have a game yet, right?
If I can share one story, is that this one is going to be quick, because funny thing, for me this is a very nice thing, that I am in the same team with Jan Krzysztof Duda in the Pro Chess League in Poland Hussars. So we have Duda, Wojtaszek, and I managed to somehow get into the squad. And the other story that I wanted to share is that there is a player in Poland who is around 60, 65 years old right now. And he likes to play a lot of tournaments, not only in Poland. And in 2000 or 1999, something like this, he went to Norway to play a tournament. You probably know where is this going.
Okay.
Yeah, so he beat Magnus Carlsen in a game where he sacrificed 2 exchanges.
Okay.
And now, we have, I think we have 4 players that beat Magnus in a tournament game. So one is Bartosz Soczko in 2008 or 2009, I think. The other one is this guy who just went to Norway to play the tournament. For sure, he was beaten by Wojtaszek in the Dutch a few years ago.
Yeah, true.
And I'm sure I saw one more game where Polish player beat him. Okay, they are playing.
Okay, let's go. So we have a 4 knights. The 4 knights game. With
No sound for you, Christof. I can see.
No sound. Wow.
Your audio is out. I don't know.
I didn't do anything. Let me check.
Can you guys confirm if this is true?
I don't know. Everything looks completely normal for me. Didn't change anything. I don't see any message about that in Chess24
No,
chat.
yeah, I think your sound is working.
Okay, we have a 4 knights game, which is interesting. A very surprising choice. So let's get this updated. I can tell a little bit about this opening, just a little bit. So we had knight d4, the Rubinstein variation of the 4 knights. Bishop a4 is bishop a4 or bishop c4 are the ambitious moves. And here's c6. Black has some options. They can also play bishop c5 or capture, but this is the way it's usually played. And now d5. Now from here, white has a couple of ideas. I think they usually play d3 in this position. It's going to be sharp.
That's very good sign for young Christof.
It's going to be sharp, yeah.
But Alexander was blitzing his opening moves.
Yeah, the thing is that knight d4 is definitely believed to be a good move, for sure. But it's pretty deep theory, and you have to be absolutely confident and you know everything. I prepared this once for a game, and I remember that I don't remember anything. Yeah, it is just a hugely messy line. But often, in fact, it leads to forcing lines that are a draw. So we have to see how this unfolds. I think d3 is normal here, but I don't quite remember. One point here is that black has very quick development. So if white now would take on d5, we probably, with black, just play bishop d6 and continue with our development, trying to...
That's true. My database confirms that bishop d6 is the best move.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of taking on d5, white should probably play d3.
Exactly. This is what happened.
Let me check if either of these players had this position over the board. And I don't see any game in my database for these players. So
yeah, the 4 knights is not happening so frequently, so it can happen that they didn't have it on the board. So d3 was played, and now probably bishop d6. Bishop d6, knight f3. Sometimes you see lines like bishop d6, knight f3, and then bishop g4. I'm not entirely certain if this is the right one here, but this is often the general idea that black gets this quick activity here with the pins on f3, and the white bishop on a4 is kind of offside, and white has to be careful that he's not getting under some attack on the king side, and the bishop is out, yeah, and doesn't really help. So this is maybe a scenario that could happen. I'm not certain that there's anything else actually. Bishop d6 looks...
Alexander is thinking after d3. This is a good sign for Polish community.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you play this with black, you really have to know it inside out. Last year, I released a chessable repertoire for black based on e4, e5, where I advocated the Petrov defense. It was based on Fabiano Caruana's repertoire, but against the Petrov, you also have to need something against knight c3. So I needed to cover the 4 knights, and I examined this knight d4 quite a bit, and ultimately decided to not recommend that, not because it's bad, but because there are many deep forcing lines that you need to know, and they don't really allow any wiggle room. Yeah, you have to know it exactly, and not really no room for any kind of imprecision. And then I went for some other line because I felt that was easier, because you don't get this with black so often. It's a pretty rare variation, and if you then play something that is so much dependent on rote memorization, it can be very tricky. And this is maybe a little bit of a problem now for black. Maybe Grishuk doesn't quite remember what he has to do, and that can easily cost 2 or 3 minutes, and this is difficult in a 10-minute game. Still, I have a hard time to imagine what else you can play. Maybe you can play something on the queen side, like b5, but I don't know if this is a good thing.
You know, Alexander is the type of player that can fall into 5 minutes tank here and lose half of his time on this move.
Yeah, even in 10 minutes. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, he's
so White's idea is pretty simple. I just want to castle and leave my king alone, at least for this game.
With White, you want to consolidate, yeah?
Yeah.
And can claim that the pawn up is worth something.
I mean, the d5 pawn is hanging, but when I'm a pawn up in the rapid game, I'm just going to castle. I don't care about the other pawn. My king safety is my first priority here.
Yeah, I mean, black probably has to also play a tempo move. Huh? Bishop d6 looks like the only move that would come to my mind, but maybe there is something else.
There's a question after bishop d6 if White can play f4 after bishop d6, but it looks very risky to open up your king like this.
Yeah.
The first point would be probably to take and go knight g4, I guess. But maybe not. Maybe it leads nowhere. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe you can take and play bishop g4.
Yeah, this is probably good for White, yeah. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Well, I can always answer queen h4 with bishop f4. And somehow this feels like black has lost the thread a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So maybe you just castle with black.
You know, after f4, you mean? Yeah, possible. You can also think about stuff like queen e7. That can also be an idea. But again, then White can also probably just castle. These kind of things can irritate you, yeah. If you think like bishop b6 is right, yeah, and then you think f4, what am I actually doing there? And often it is just based on some tactical nuance, yeah. For example, what about b5? Yeah, that could be a move as well. You always have to check this.
Maybe knight c6 is working in this line.
Yeah, you're right actually. This could
bishop b5 and there's e5.
And e5
also
as well, yeah. Possible.
I'm not sure because a lot of things are hanging. There's bishop g4 at some point, I don't know. But there's a lot of mess in this position.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be why he is thinking. Yeah, just not completely sure what the bishop c5. This is a principal alternative, yeah, and also could be completely fine. Well, the bishop is giving a little bit of support, and it's an active square, of course, and you still have this idea to attack e5 later and then bishop g4 to pin.
The disadvantage is that White can just castle.
Sure.
Immediately.
And he might just do that.
The point is that now after queen e7 we can't go f4 because of the bishop on c5.
Yeah, true. But we might be able to take on d5, yeah? That could be something. Even though such a position does not have to be clear, because castling, it's still lots of development.
We can also take on d5 with the knight if we want, probably. Because after queen e5 we have bishop f4. And if knight d5, I'm probably happy to exchange this knight from f6. That can be a dangerous attacker.
I think that castles is the better move here for sure. And just keep this option open. Yeah, okay, let me refresh this so I'm not in some maze of variations here. There's some discussion in the chat if Nakamura should retire from tournament chess, will retire from tournament chess or something. This is I recently read this, like he's doing all those streaming and so on, and honestly, he's never going to retire unless something special is happening, because as long as Rex Sinquefield is pumping this amount of money in tournaments in St. Louis, he's never going to retire, because Hikaru can just show up at the US Championship and cash in a 5-figure amount every time he arrives. So, I mean, it's a pretty simple thing to do, and all the other event that he's sponsoring. So, I don't really see that happening. And why should he retire? I mean, he has still his successes in tournament chess, even though it is not as good as it was before, for sure. He didn't have such a good year. So, anyway, what is White doing here? Probably castling, right?
Something, maybe there's something about castling that he doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very demanding position.
I got a comment that I shouldn't even react to this kind of discussion. Terrible bait and so on. Well, you see this discussion quite frequently, like on Twitter and so on, on Reddit. I always felt it's kind of odd. Anyway, so let's castle. What do we regard as the best try for Black?
I just want to finish development. I want to castle also, and then think about what to do next. Because White rather doesn't want to play something like Knight f3 due to Bishop g4.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Is Knight e2 an option here?
Yeah, I think Black can take on e4. Yeah, just
okay. So maybe take on d5 first, but then you take with the knight.
You can take with the knight, or you can ask White what exactly you're doing after rook e8. No, just trying to play with tempo all the time.
Yeah, this is impractical.
Thing is, some things can develop really quickly. Let's say rook e1, for example, just to cover this. Black might be able to play knight g4 here even. That could be something like White takes and takes on e1. Other way.
Maybe
around.
not take on e1. Maybe bishop g4.
Yeah, you're right. It's a complete fiasco on the back rank. So this is even stronger. Yeah, and Black is probably winning here. That I cannot believe that this is he cannot survive this position, I think. So yeah, White has to be careful.
So instead of e takes d5, something like bishop g5 probably.
Yeah, you should probably try to develop, but here something like, yeah, do you go h6 here? Not sure if it's helpful to get it to h4.
No, h4 I wouldn't dare. I would go bishop h4 probably.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I mean this one, no? Is if this is helping Black or not, it's kind of difficult to say. Does the World Chess Championship have a dress code? Yeah, I think they have. I don't think you can show up in Bermuda shorts, or that won't work. They even have a dress code for
King h1 is exactly the move that I wanted to suggest.
Yeah, and it happened.
Because yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to suggest, because now you can play f4 whenever you want.
Yeah.
So this is very logical.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we got a position that is actually quite sharp, that Black in some way initiated. Yeah, I mean, you can very solidly just go bishop b4 here.
But there were some problems with this line lately.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's not much. and I mean, I completely understand.
I can quickly show if you want. So castles. White goes d3. Black takes on c3.
Yeah.
And now after d6, there is this move bishop g5, and this is considered to be unpleasant for black nowadays. It was it was considered to be dubious or harmless because of queen e7, knight d8, knight e6 plan, but lately people managed to find something here.
I think isn't this kind of okay?
It's supposed to be slightly better for white lately.
Yeah.
And the bishop doesn't go to h4; it goes back to d2, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
There was some point about it.
It might be. I mean, knight d4 is considered to be the move to play. So maybe Grushuk is just going for the move that he considers best. Yeah, regardless of the match situation. So we got king h1, queen c7, f4, b5. So okay, and white went bishop b3 and a5. Answered by a3. That is now really quick. Takes, and now we got there. Bishop d4. Okay, now, this is not... Wow. Now white has to be careful here, yeah? Some things can be immediately bad, like you shouldn't retreat the knight, for example. That's just a bad move. If black manages to take and take here, he's more than fine. So white has to find a solution where he keeps the knight on e5 and makes bishop takes, f takes, queen takes good for white, which is probably anyway. So he will have to keep
I would play queen c2 here.
Keep the tension and threaten on b5.
Yes. And if you take on e5, I'm going to put the bishop on f4 in the end.
Yeah, so this is the line that Camille is suggesting, this.
And bishop f4 here. And Duda got what he wanted in this position, I think. This is pretty sharp. Because white didn't sacrifice any pawn, because he was a pawn up.
Yeah, that looks good.
Where do you put your queen?
I just wonder, do we have a better square than c2?
I like c2. And in some cases it can pressurize c6. And it threatens knight b5, which stops from any developing nonsense from black.
We missed something, or I missed something rather, because it was my suggestion. Knight f3 played, and after bishop takes, white has e5. Ouch.
This was suggested on chat, or?
Yeah, it was suggested in chat.
This is very inhuman.
I think he's done it. That's on the board.
He did it. He played it.
Yeah,
what a guy.
That is strong. That is strong. Yeah, and now the thing is, if black says, okay, I don't want to be a pawn down, I'm going to take on e5. Now after f takes, white's position is going to be very strong, because the dark squares are super weak, and we can try for an attack with ideas like getting the queen over, queen e1, queen g3, something like that, or we can play against the c-pawn, just being strategically better. So this looks very strong, and this is on the board. Let's see what black is doing. The knight doesn't have a really comfortable square. Goes to d7. Yeah, black needs to somehow get like a bishop to g6, knight to e6, something like that would be...
I think after d4, black's plan is to play rook e8, knight f8.
Something like that, yeah. The thing is, it's not completely clear that you want to go d4 here, I think, because in some cases knight d4 can also be quite useful. So maybe you start with bishop f4 here, if that doesn't have a tactical problem.
No, it doesn't. It can't have a tactical problem, I think.
Yeah. I mean something like f6, yeah, but f6 cannot really be a good move.
The f6, I can even go bishop g3 and play d4 later, and black only overextended himself.
That's true. So that could happen. But white can also consider queen e1 in this position to go to g3 immediately. That can also be considered.
Do you think that white is better?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been on the black side of these kind of positions sometimes when after screwing up some e4, e5, like in a Vienna game or so. And my experience is simply that we have bishop f4. that if white gets this pressure on the king side, it's really annoying because you cannot really move any of those pawns. If you go h6, white is always in for sacrifices, and g6 is a disaster anyway. And it's so difficult to not weaken yourself there. Yeah. So, okay, we got this. Bishop f4.
If he wins this game, then he deserved it for finding this idea with knight f3 and e5.
That was nice. That was really nice. Yeah, black has currently also is this issue that the pieces are not very harmonious. Bishop c8, knight d7. Yeah, they're not really playing. You need to coordinate. You would need a little bit more time, but you don't have it. I mean, white is not threatening something immediately, but it's going to happen pretty quickly.
One thing about these types of positions is that whenever you have an opposite colored bishops in the endgame, you have higher drawing chances if you're on a weaker side. But in the middle game, it's completely different, because then the side with the advantage can attack on the dark squares. Here, for example, white will attack on the dark squares, while black can't really challenge white on the dark squares because he has a light squared bishop. So it is considered that the black will be playing like a piece down here.
Yeah, it can happen that this bishop on c8 doesn't help you at all because all the play is on the dark squares. I think black did a good job here with this move. Yeah, knight c5, rook c1, knight e6. That's what happened. So he got the knight to e6 at least.
A blockade?
Yeah, to blockade. And now white has to make up his mind how to position the pieces there.
Yeah. I would play queen d2 because it's very unlikely that black will ever take this bishop.
That looks sensible for sure, because that is something that we have to check. If you look at this bishop here looks clearly inferior to the knight. And this could actually be one of those positions where knight d4 can be useful because it immediately puts pressure here on the pawn.
Yes, we play rook c5, rook c1, knight d4.
That's an extremely one-sided affair. Queen d2 was played and it was answered with c5. So let's go back. So we had c5. That's good news for black. If you get that in, that is usually helpful. He went d4, probably followed by c4. That happened. And what now? Oh, but black is not doing too badly.
I would try something like knight g5 here, I guess.
Yeah, I see your point. So you suggest this in order to here start a direct play on the dark squares.
Yeah,
right?
I think bishop f6 is already a threat.
Yeah. So let's say I'm trying to defend against this, play rook a6 to be somewhere near, and then just to show the idea.
Yeah, so I would like to play something like rook f4 here, maybe, or rook f3 to bring my. But yeah, rook a6 is clever.
Yeah, I just wanted to show this is the general idea that white has here. So that after takes, we are threatening those attacking motifs to checkmate on g7. But black, I think, is just about in time to hold this, right?
It looks like, yes.
Yeah, you need a little bit more firepower.
I would need a rook on e1 because after queen h6, rook g8, rook e8 would be winning. But I just missed one move.
Yeah, so just to show, like if this is on the board, black does something stupid. This, and this is a nice way to finish, as queen g7 mate is the threat. So going back to the actual game, it's really fast. Instead of knight g5, knight h4 was played. Yeah, considering to jump to f5, and queen d8 was the reply, so that the knight is now attacked. I think black is doing a good defensive job here, honestly. If you get to take off everything, like knight f5, and then black can take on f4. Okay, bishop g3, that looked more likely. But here I thought knight g5 to e4 looks like a good way to play. It happened. Knight g5.
Yeah, white is losing a thread.
Yeah, the knight comes to e4. That's going to be nice. That's a piece that will be taken at some point by a rook. Otherwise, it's too strong. So what is white doing here? He went knight f3, okay. And now knight e4. I don't think white is worse, but black has made some progress here, yeah? Must have been.
And the fact that he returns to f3 indicates that knight h4 was not the great idea.
Probably not. Now queen e3 was played.
Yeah, he wants knight d2 for sure.
Let's check the time. Yeah, or bishop h4, knight g5. No, that can also happen. You need to get rid of this thing on e4. I cannot play around it. I just want to check the time. So Duda is on 1 minute and 11 and Grishuk on 2 minutes. So, okay, he played bishop f5. Nice. Yeah, that... Yeah, I mean, here you can basically conclude that white has basically the same kind of setup that he had like 5 moves ago, while black managed to get the knight to e4. So that must be something that black is happy about. I would expect bishop h4 now, trying to play knight g5, even though it doesn't look like much. Okay, bishop e1. Okay. Is he trying? Not really, yeah. He cannot play for h3, g4 here.
He has to do something. So even something like h3, g4 doesn't seem to be very unlikely.
Sorry, maybe white is also thinking about a move like b4 to make sure that the queen side is at least closed, and then try to do something on the king side. That could be a possibility. Rook c8 has been played. Yeah, this is still going to be a game that will last quite a while. White has to try something, but he probably will not do something quickly because there is nothing very drastic to do. So he has to slowly expand or something. h3 was played. Okay.
I wouldn't evaluate white's winning chances as very high here.
No.
10 moves ago, I think there was a big chance. Now, it's tougher.
I mean, I don't want to analyze old positions, but one thing that comes to mind is maybe white somehow had to prevent c5. Let's say if you go here, for example, c5 is not working due to this, and maybe he had to prevent the move and just say, okay, how are you going to play from here? Okay, so let's get to the actual game. This is long gone. So he went knight d2. Probably, okay, the knights will be traded. White can still try something here. I mean, even with the bishop on e4, if you imagine later the pawns are coming up with g4, h4, you can still try to do something against this h6 pawn, which just has moved there. I mean, I'm not saying white is better. I'm just saying he will get to the point where he tries something. So traded on e4, bishop takes, and now white can try to crawl slowly up on the king side, like king h2, g4, and so on. Maybe you play b. Please.
I can only remind people that young Christof Duda is in a must-win situation. So if white doesn't win this game, the match is over. Alexander Grishuk then climbs the title for the tournament.
Yes. Oh yeah, nice move here now by black. Rook c6, planning rook g6.
Okay, what happens after queen e1? You just play a4, right? Is this an improvement for black or not?
Yeah, I can go rook g6 first, right?
Okay. Yeah, then it doesn't seem to be a good idea.
We have something different here. Getting many moves. Rook c6, a4 was played. a4, okay. Rook g6, rook f2. And so white is covering g2 and still has this tension there, but black is going for it now. Yeah? Queen h4 happening. Threat now.
King h2 probably.
Yeah, threat is rook g3, so king h2 was played quickly.
There's still some hope.
Yeah, b5 is currently attacked, and black is probably not able to take here due to this capture.
Also a5 is under the attack.
Yeah. That's true. There is no clear solution here. Why? Well, what about... No, he didn't do it. Okay. Rook b8, simply covering the pawn.
This is what I thought, yeah. He played it?
Rook b8, that was played. Yeah, so what now? Bishop takes a5?
Bishop takes a5, b takes a4, b4. How unhappy I am here. Probably very unhappy.
I wonder if black can... No, black cannot really increase the pressure on the king side. A b5 was played, rook takes, and b takes c4. That's very straightforward.
I would expect rook takes b2 here, because if d takes c4, there's bishop c3.
So you're concerned about that. Okay, but if black, rook takes b2 was played. So now white can go c5, maybe.
Just remember not to move the bishop, because rook g2 is going to be crushing.
Yes, yeah, black has even indirectly lots of stuff on g2. So that is very dangerous. What did he do? Nothing yet, yeah? Still.
There is still an option for white to play g3 sooner or later.
He did that. He played g3.
Okay.
Let's do this g3. Queen has to move. Yeah, went to e7.
Alexander is visibly nervous, while young Christof plays rather calmly. But people say that the evaluation is not that great for white.
Yeah, I think black with this bishop here, somehow you think that he's better, but it is not easy at all. Yeah, is white going to play c5 now, or does he have anything better? He went c5 and a4. Yeah, exactly what I thought. Now rook b3 is the idea, coming with the rook all of a sudden from the queen side. And we get this update. Now the a pawn is on a3. Yeah, black is certainly much better here. He just threatens to push it all the way. a2 is almost a threat. So rook a1 played. And rook a6. Yeah, this is a multifunctional piece. Nice. It was attacking on the king side, and now it's switching over. Queen c1 played. White tries to play rook f to a2 and snatch the pawn. But black is saying, okay, I can also play on the king side. And that happened with f6, now opening up on the other side of the board. So the a pawn is a distraction. Yeah, getting some white pieces to be tied to the pawn and then trying to open up on the other side of the board. He played rook to a2.
Probably the only move.
Yeah, and now I expect black to take on e5. That must be completely fine.
And there is a problem. If rook takes a3, then rook a takes, and there is rook b1, rook h1 in the end.
Yeah, you're right. You cannot even take this, because this is a completely crushing variation. Absolutely. Yeah, rook h1 checkmate. Yeah, so this looks basically done. Yeah, he didn't take. Played bishop d2, e takes d4, and c6, going for the last hope with the c pawn, but that should be refutable somehow. Queen b6, as g3 is hanging, and c6 is also hanging.
Yeah, this is over.
Yeah, I mean, we have to also keep in mind black is completely winning, but he only needs a draw, which makes it in particular hopeless, because I mean, on a good day white gets some pawns back, but then he can never win. So rook takes a3 played. and black now simply can trade off everything, and it's over. They agreed to a draw. Okay, so congratulations, even though he's definitely not listening to this, to Alexander Grishuk, who's won the Hamburg Grand Prix tournament with a 2.5, 1.5 tiebreak victory over Jan Christof Duda. It was a very entertaining match, I think. We have seen 6 games, and it wasn't there wasn't a dull game at all. Yeah? Everything was exciting.
Okay, only the one game was less exciting than the others, but since yesterday we didn't have any rest while commentating. The stuff that were happening was rather sharp, and
absolutely,
I enjoyed it a lot.
It was good fun to watch the games, and we also know if people are correct on that. I hope they are, because we got some people who said that in the chat, that Grishuk has qualified for the candidates with this victory. Even though somebody said it's not 100% clear, but I think he must be in really good shape. I mean, he was in good shape when he reached the final, if you look at the standing, so he's probably almost there. And I mean, I'm allowed to express a personal opinion. I would be happy to see him there, because he is, I think, just a positive figure for every tournament. His play is always interesting, and he has the absolutely greatest post-game interviews ever. So
sure,
we hope that he's going to make it, I think. And also we saw that Jan Christof Duda is capable of getting to a final of this for a tournament of this caliber, and really putting up a really strong fight. It felt like his black preparation was a little bit I don't know if risky is the right word, but it kind of didn't really work. Yeah,
it was rather bad.
Yeah,
let's name it.
He lost those 2 games, and in particular, what I found in particularly striking was this game, which we just saw like an hour ago, when out of the opening he got into this situation and got into this devastating attack. That was wow, that was really an awful opening result. So guys, I hope you enjoyed our broadcast. If you want more of us broadcasting, send messages to Chess24 management. They will like it.
Sure.
Okay, so thank you, Camille, for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you. This was great fun, and I hope that our viewers enjoyed it too.
Okay, yeah, thanks, and thanks also for all of you participating in the chat. That's also good to get some hints now and then, and some information that we're not able to pull while we're talking all the time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.